I just got back from California. It takes exactly 24 hours when you return from California to get all the crazy washed off. But I made it. I was with an amazing church with an amazing group of folks and with some amazing patriots in California. I travel. I go live. I go unlive. I go hologram, whatever it takes to get that message out. But when I come back to my little studio that my people paid for by their rich and generous donations, it makes me feel like maybe, just maybe, there's hope left. I know we're still looking at the crazy in government and how DC's gone off the rails and how one party is completely, utterly, and absolutely gone totalitarian and does nothing but attack a whole group of Americans. I know we're in a crazy time, and I don't know if we're going to get our way out. I feel like I'm just kind of reaching up over a pit that I fell into and trying to speak some unity, some crazy opportunity, optimistic beauty that we can, in fact, come on the other side and bust through this new revolution in a way that's helpful to everybody. I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know where we're going to go. But this is what I do know. On this amazing Monday night, where my people have shown up to watch me and my interview with comedian Jim Brewer, and with Wyatt, and with whatever else we come up with, just for this little small moment of time on a Monday. All is right with the world. We are, in fact, still speaking freely, as long as you're watching this and can see me. And so, folks, be grateful for the little things, the little silver lining among this cloud that the government created by spewing chemicals into the air. That's right. Always looking for the bright side, even as I'm gasping for breath. You tuned in? You're watching it. God's Comic Brad Stine. This is Brad Stine Has Issues. And you know what? If that wasn't enough, why, the music will light your path. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, thank you, thank you for showing up as you always do. This is God's Comic Brad Stine. This is Brad Stine Has Issues, where comedy, conservatism, and Christianity collides in a cacophony of clarity. I am your host, comedian, author, former magician, sleight of hand artist, author, MC, even forklift driver, Brad Stine. And on the other side of the camera, someone you'll never see because, frankly, he doesn't want to be seen. You see, he was born without arms or legs. He's simply a torso, but he's still my son, and he did exude from my loins. This is Wyatt Stine. Son, how are you?
Kind of okay, I guess.
Well, what part is not okay?
I was on my morning drive for work.
Yeah.
And, well,
yeah?
I noticed that the 4th of July was coming up, and the way that I knew it...
How do you know the 4th of July is coming up? I know. You looked at your calendar like they used to do in the olden days.
Actually, no.
No.
I was on my morning commute.
Right.
And I noticed a sign.
Oh.
No fireworks within city limits. That's the whole point of the holiday, people.
Yeah, that's a good point.
If I'm not allowed to blow something up on the one day of the year I'm allowed to, what's the whole point?
Well, isn't that funny that they do? By the way, just to let you know, I cannot get the comments on my little thing, so I'm going to need some help.
Yeah, I was having some trouble with that too. Facebook is not sending this out to people, basically.
What do you mean?
Facebook is straight up not telling people we are live right now.
Okay, so the comments even are...
The comments are on mine, but that's because I just directly went to our website.
Oh,
thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
you won't be notified anymore, apparently.
You won't be notified that we're on?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
How do you know?
Because I tried for 5 minutes to get notified, and I wasn't.
Oh, okay, so they are censoring us.
Yeah.
Well, we've done it. We have done it, folks. We have... reach that pinnacle where you are doing some damage for free speech because they don't want anyone to know that we're here. So, hey, I can't complain. I went to newest comments, Wyatt. I got Wendy Wesley. You know Wendy? You got that anywhere, son?
No, I'm still trying to figure out how to get you to see the comments. Try it again.
Yeah, I don't know. What I normally do is I press, oh, it didn't come up as a notification. So yeah, I don't even know where I find it, buddy.
Okay, well, that's concerning. You know what? I'm going to do some editorial magic here, folks.
Okay, do that if you would. But we are on live, right? It's just that for some reason, can you...
yeah, we're on live.
Yeah. Okay, here comes Wyatt's hand. That's my son doing his Wyatt tech support. There goes the GoPro. Wyatt, folks, if you're brand new to Brad Stine Has Issues, there's a couple things you need to know. First thing you need to know is this will happen regularly. You will never, ever be able to have this thing run smoothly. You need that? Yeah, it's never going to run smoothly, and here's why. See, when I first came up with the idea, Brad Stine Has Issues, the concept was I have issues about what's going on in America. I have issues about what's going on with faith. I have issues about what's happening to free speech and religious liberties. I have issues with where everything is going in this nation and around the world, and so it was a clever kind of ploy. Of course, it's a backhanded, funny compliment because oftentimes the people that are on that I interview will say things like, well, we know he has issues. Matter of fact, they all kind of do the same thing, don't they, White? They all say exactly the same thing. Well, we know he really does have issues and this and that. I'm trying to find the side that actually needs to be facing us.
Well, it's no point because the cable broke.
Well, it's on, though.
No, I mean, like, seriously, look at the cable. It's
Oh, it literally broke.
Yeah, it literally broke.
Okay, so we can't even plug it in. But so that means we can't even show it.
Well, we can't show it, but we can still, like, here you go. We can still do the reveal. You just need to be up in front of the main camera.
Okay, so why couldn't I see those earlier?
Because, again, there were no notifications.
Oh, there was no notification. Folks!
Literally, Facebook is not telling anyone we are live right now.
Well, you know what Eric Brolin said? I got a notification of that, but I hadn't received them other times.
Yeah.
And Carl Hines said, sometimes I get notified, but most times I don't. And you know what Carl Hines invented?
Ketchup?
Yes! He invented it. Well, his people did. His family did. Carl and his family, the original ketchup, I don't even know this, was in wine vats after they'd finished the wine for the season where they would step on the grapes. They would put tomatoes in and step on tomatoes and create wine from scratch using their feet. Did you know that, son?
No, I thought ketchup was invented by someone who made pizza sauce, but just did it really badly.
Nope. It was the Heinz folks.
What am I thinking of then?
You know what Ray Bigerman said? I found this just scrolling. And I don't even know Ray Bigerman, and yet he came on. But where's our people? Eric Brolin, I got a notification. Jim Brewer got my notification. Louis Leone, typical Brad Stine show. He's mocking us. He should. I would if I watched a show where the cameras literally fall off the table. Let's see. Nick Kress, Brad Stine Has Issues. Let's see. Carrie Hathaway has them. Rebecca De Dwyer is sending us all kinds of crazy faces. Greetings from Northern Ireland. How about that? Will Fuller got his for the first time. Allison Thompson got him. So why? You're wrong. Everybody's getting notified except us, the people that are actually putting on the show.
And the other people are saying that they were getting notifications for the first time.
You know what, Stephen?
For over a year, this is the first time.
I know. Stephen Coble says your son needs to make a puppet hand that looks like him when he grabs stuff.
Well, if that's the case, then we can never show it.
I know it. He said we're from Germany and we're barrel makers. So see, I was trying to give the guy up credit for inventing ketchup, and the guy said, nah, just barrels.
Yeah, but he didn't invent ketchup, just the bottles.
Okay, Scott McCowan's here. He's from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Hope Sean Wells, technology will be the end of us all. Love your content. Well, thank you so much. But you know who I don't see? You know who I don't see, son? Nick Kress is watching. He's number one. You got number one as Nick?
Yep.
How does he do it?
He's always watching.
He's always watching.
He is Saint Nick.
He's Saint Nick. He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows if you've been bad or good. So make ketchup, for goodness sake. The Heinz people do. Folks, I'm so grateful to be here with you. It is Monday. It is Brad Stine Has Issues. As you can see, we started right off with issues. We broke our cable. We're going to have to get a new one for next.
To be fair, it would not have been broken if Facebook would have just done its job and showed you the notifications.
So when it fell off, it broke.
Yeah.
I see.
The cable is fine, so that's fine. It's just we need to get a new cable. It's easy.
So if I hold that up, they're not going to be able to see it.
Not well. Again, you'd have to put it in front of the main camera. Or, you know what? You can just hand it to Sock Puppet me, and I'll do it.
Yeah? You
Yeah.
can get up close to there?
Oh, of course. I'm stealthy like that.
Don't think that we aren't Johnny on the spot. We are just extemporaneous. Whatever is necessary, it's called on-the-fly tech, Wyatt. Matter of fact, if you create a country, call it on-the-fly tech.
You know what? I'll remember that one. I never do that.
Okay, so tell me about something. You were talking about the 4th of July, and then all hell broke loose. So tell me again.
Every year, for the past, 5 years,
Yeah.
3 weeks before 4th of July, they'll have a sign out.
Yeah.
One of those construction signs,
Yeah.
like LED things.
Yes.
And it's always no fireworks within city Okay, technically, it's no firework within city limits because they didn't have enough space for the S.
Oh.
So I guess that means if you bring 2 of them, you're fine.
So as long as it's plural, you can have as many as you want, but not one.
Yeah, you can't
Don't
have
you
one.
dare shoot one off.
What kind of maniac do you think you are?
Are you
one?
crazy?
What kind of country do you think this is?
Are you serious?
I mean, come on.
You either do a crap load of fireworks or get out of the game. But I don't want just one Roman candle. That is going too far in the area of Nashville.
Would a single Roman candle work? Because there's fire more than one shot.
All right, so a single mortar shot
Yeah,
would be
okay, well,
a sparkler would go against the grain of the sign. But if we ignited the entire box of sparklers, apparently the city's okay with that. See, I like that. Maybe what they're saying in Tennessee is, folks, we go big or we go home. We want to see crap burning. We want to have firemen on the ready. We want them at every block starting to put stuff out. We want them ripping their hair out. What's going to happen? Where's it going to go south again? So this is maybe what's going on. It's simply a matter of these guys. They're Southerners. They want to see stuff blow up, son. And I got to tell you, so do I.
I mean, who doesn't? It's just such a fun thing to see.
It is. And we always had such great fireworks displays. For a while, we were people would literally come out of their homes in their backyards and watch our fireworks display. Do you remember that, Wyatt?
I mean, I'm pretty sure what we did classifies as conventional warfare, but
It was conventional warfare, and that's why we were prepared. We saw what was coming in America. We knew that eventually things were going to get out of hand. We're going to have to defend ourselves, and so we started practicing with bombs, mortars, sparklers, Roman candles, Greek candles, Italian candles, Czechoslovakian candles, Iowa candles, Canadian candles, every kind of candle we could find, except a birthday candle. That we felt was going too far.
Mm-hmm. Now, those trick candles we somehow did find, but they didn't really work out the way we wanted them to.
You know what? The trick candles never worked. Did you guys ever use the trick candles?
Aren't those illegal, like in America, or at least in some states?
In our state, only one is illegal. So the kids that turn 1 don't get one, but as long as it's 3 to 5.
Oh, right.
But what happens, son, is that they're impregnated. Can I say that on?
Never use that word again, but continue.
Okay, so they're infused. Can I use that?
Battle,
Okay,
yeah.
they're infused on the candle wick, which in a way is a fuse.
They're infused in the fuse. Yeah.
Yes, they're infused with gunpowder or whatever they use. So when you light it,
this is an American invention, isn't it?
it is. But here's the thing: they think it's a gag candle. You blow it out, but it's always sparkling, kind of like so you know it's a gag because the candles don't do that. It's like why are they kind of exploding? And so when you blow them out, they're just reigniting because it's impregnated.
Wait.
Yeah.
So the trick isn't that it reignites. The trick is that candles don't spark when you blow them out.
Yeah.
By that logic, can't we just tape it to grenade to the cake and put the pin on that? That's a trick. Grenades don't tick.
Gotta blow it out before you duck.
I don't think blowing it out's going to save you in that case.
You're probably right. Well, listen, speaking of blowing it out, I had an interesting thing happen today, and you know what? I was just in California. I was at Godspeak Church in Thousand Oaks, Newberry Park, California. Now, this is where Rob McCoy preaches. Now, he is a warrior pastor. He actually last week was our guest. Last week was Rob, and it was his church. Now, he's not there. He was off in Maine with Charlie Kirk because they do things together. So I was at his church performing, It's a wonderful church. I love this church because they are in the belly of the beast, baby. They're in L.A. County, well, Ventura County, actually. They're north of L.A. But he never shut down. He was fine. They were trying to arrest him. He didn't do it. Of course, he won. So far, we've all won all of those lawsuits, the unconstitutional things they tried to do during the cult of Corona. And so I love these people because they're in California trapped. They're probably like Danny Herring. Over in Canada, son. She, kind of pops her head up every now and again to see if the coast is clear. Then she sees a glimpse of Trudeau and she sinks back into her bunker. We don't see her again. I doubt she's here. Have you seen her show up yet today?
Oh, no, not yet.
Yeah. Well, again, now here's a. By the way, is Car on here?
What? I haven't seen her yet.
What?
Let's.
Grand Junction, Colorado's here. I never use ketchup. That's just wrong. It is wrong not to use ketchup.
Isn't it a bit late for the ketchup gag to keep coming back?
Well, he said it. Who else is here? Henta Kotsi. How about South Africa? Nice. Benjamin Gregory, he's here. He welcomes me. Karen Boyd, I've always gotten my notifications. So Karen knows who to pay off at Facebook to get her notifications. Louis Leone. Howdy down there. My mom and sis live there. Scott McCowan. What about a glow-in-the-dark candle? Carrie Hathaway. You can use any term you want. Wolf Fuller. Are you ever in Alabama, Brad? Yes, I am. Sometimes I am in Alabama, so keep your eyes open. And Larry Gilbert. Oh, Larry showed up. Wyatt.
Good old Larry.
Good old Larry. Now, tell the folks what is so significant about Larry Gilbert.
Oh, Larry is the guy who helped us get this whole thing set up.
He did. He put up our first little camera. It's our silver Black Magic. So
Which
we
is
got
ironic.
it. We got it at a yeah. It's a silver Black Magic. We got it at a discount, and that was our first little camera. And then he got us our first microphone. Now, is it this one? Is this the same mic that Larry got us, or did we upgrade?
It's either yours or mine. I know it's one of those two. It's not the guest.
And he's not here that often. He's got his own podcast. It's a very successful podcast of his very own. And so
he gets notifications.
I'm sure everybody gets notifications. I'll bet everybody on Earth gets notifications, except for those who watch us.
People who don't even have Facebook get notifications.
I'll bet they do. That's it comes in the mail. But still, hey, we're here tonight. Of course, it was 2 days ago. But still, it's better than nothing. But I got to tell you, I was so happy to be in California, to be amongst patriots, because these people are beaten left and right, sideways and which ways, and yet they're standing firm. They're believing that freedom is still here. I don't know, guys. We're all sitting here wondering, how's this all going to pan out? Are we going to, are they going to demand digital currency? That has to be outlawed, or we will not be free. That will be the end of it. They can turn you off the moment they don't like your politics. This is as crucial as it gets. I mean, America is in dire straits. We certainly are, but we aren't dead yet. Son, since we're not dead yet, don't you think we should fight? Shouldn't we get some of those pluralistic fireworks and, just sock them away? Just
tuck them away in a safe spot.
Who knows? Who knows? And just to remind us what it is, we'll put little unblowoutable candles around the perimeter so we know it's all for there.
Are you talking about trick candles or grenades?
They're trick candles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because the good thing about the grenade is it makes an impact. The bad part, you can only do it once. Can only do it once.
No, I think it's the cleanup, because you have those pieces of metal you got to pick up afterwards. It's always, honestly, the 4th of July may be America's favorite holiday. The 5th of July is definitely the worst.
Yes. Could we call it Shrapnel Recovery Day?
Cleanup day.
Yeah, cleanup. Who else is out there? Scott McCown. Did I mention him? Look, Larry Gilbert even remembers a Blackmagic 2.5 Cinepro. Yeah, that's right. Let's see. Anybody else? I hate to leave anybody out. Jeff Hayes says, like the Skillet song says, not gonna die tonight. Diane Neal, Sheridan praying. Sean Wells saw something that said that in 100 years they'll refer to these times as the dumb ages. Yeah. That's a good one. Michael Sean Florence is here. He said ARF. Who's going to argue with that? But anybody else that I haven't said hi to before we get the show on the road, son? Well, anyways, so here's what I was going to say to y'all. We got a great guest tonight. You know who our guest is, son?
Yeah, it's Jim. How do I pronounce it?
How do you pronounce the last name?
Brewer?
Brewer.
Brewer. Yeah.
It's spelled odd. It's Breuer.
Yeah.
Not typical.
I don't do well with multiple vowels in a row.
No, you don't. Especially with R's in them.
Well, yeah.
Why was R's hard for you to
I
pronounce?
don't know. I think it's because it's so close to W, which is in my name, and I just get confused.
So if your name was Riot, you would never be able to tell people who you were?
No, if that was my name, I couldn't pronounce W's then.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, it's one of those weird things.
Oh, my goodness. Well, but you overcame it. You did speech therapy and everything. But you don't know why it was hard for you. Did you have a tongue tie?
No. In fact, apparently, according to people I know, my tongue is loose. Like, too loose, almost.
You have a loose tongue. The Bible says...
A tongue loose, yes.
The Bible says a loose tongue is not good. It can cause a lot of fires.
Is it worse than a tongue tie, though?
I don't know. Probably not.
Also,
I think I'd rather have my tongue loose than tied.
Also, what is the standard, tie degree of a tongue? How do you measure that?
I don't know. I think it's the underneath thing.
No, I know what it is, but, there were degrees.
And isn't the
right?
professional, the doctor's academic term, the underneath thing?
I'm pretty sure, yeah, that's official, yeah. I thought about it in the textbook.
Okay, well, here's what I wanted to tell the folks tonight. So I'm fighting the good fight. I'm out there doing it. And I did get to mention to the folks what we are up to. Now, if you're new to us, the podcast was something that happened by all the people watching. Now, a few of the folks are new. We always get new people. That's great. But Benjamin Gregory and Larry Gilbert and St. Nick, or Nick Kress as we call him, St. Nick, Carmen Boy. There's a handful of folks who have been here from the get-go. They wanted to donate to help get this thing built. We had people who drove down here and helped build everything. So it's been a labor of love for people who believe that what I had to say should be heard. So it's always humbling, and it's always just, I'm just grateful that people care about what we're doing. But I got to say something. I don't know how to, broach it. So I'm just going to jump right in. I was an actor, son. I don't know if you knew that. I was in movies. Did I ever mention the movie career?
Briefly, yeah, once, 6 months ago.
Yeah, and I don't like to bring it up. I don't like to brag. Yes, I was nominated for an award, Best Actor. Yes, from Movie Guide Award. Yes, but I don't bring it up. Yes,
Yeah,
I've been in.
Very humble. Very
Yes, humbleness has been my greatest attribute for I don't know how many years now. I got a calendar that checks off every day because here's the thing, son. Every day I find myself getting more humble, or like I like to say, humbler.
Yeah.
So I always check off the box. I'm even humbler. I'm even more humble. Sometimes I'll make the check smaller just to humbleize it.
Just to make sure that you're on the right track. Yeah.
That's it. And so, you got to keep notice. You got to discipline yourself. And how do you know if you're getting any better? When you work out with weights and you can do 100 pounds on the bench and suddenly you can do 105, I'm getting better. It's an incentive. And so for my humble calendar,
How do you improve upon perfection, though?
How do you improve upon perfection?
Yeah, with your humbleness. How do you train that? You're already so good at it.
I don't know. I don't know how I'll get. If there is a time when you reach ultimate humility, I don't know. I don't know if there's a way to even measure that. But I will say this: if anybody will come up with a way to measure humbleness, it'll be me.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to say was, and I didn't bring up the movies because I've always been in movies, and I love movies. As a matter of fact, we're working on a new movie. We're in pre-production, and we're going to shoot a new movie in the fall, and I'll let you guys in on that when that's ready, so you can enjoy that. But I had a guest on, I don't know if you remember this, probably a couple of months ago. His name was Ben Davies. Do you remember that, Ben?
I remember that name well. It was impossible for me to remember when editing.
Why?
I don't know. There's some names that I just, for some reason, cannot remember to save my life.
Okay, well, Ben Davies is an actor. He was in some great, I think he was in Fireproof, maybe, one of those Kirk Cameron maybes, and he's a great guy. He works now at the Daily Wire with Michael Knowles. He's his producer. but he's a great actor, great guy, good Christian man. And he was on, and we talked about acting because for those of us who do it, it's fun. We enjoy it, and it's this artistic means to tell a story. You get to play a character. It's just, I don't know, it's not for everybody. Son, do you think you could be a great actor?
Oh, the best actor.
Yeah.
But, like, that's just me. I'm sure other people would say it too. I'm not bragging or anything.
No. I didn't take it that way at all.
No. I know, yeah.
So, yeah. And so the reason I bring it up is because in order to be able to work in film, you have to be a union member. You have to be in the union. And the union is SAG, the Screen Actors Guild. Now, it used to be, it's not as hard as it used to be, but it used to be really hard to get a SAG card. That was difficult to do because you weren't allowed to work in a union film unless you were in the union, okay? So the catch-22 is, but I can't get hired to do a union film so I can be in the union since I'm not in the union, so how do I get in a union film so I can be in the union? So it's very difficult. Now, they merged a number of years ago with AFTRA, and so it's easier, and it's good for people that couldn't get in. But for those of us who finally got our SAG card, we wanted to watch these others grovel and not be able to get in because we finally got in. So, hey, too late, shut the door. We don't need anybody else. But they let them all in, and who cares? It's the way it is now. But I got my SAG card, and I got it with my first film. Now, I told this story, and the reason I'm bringing this up again, there's a little addendum, a postscript to the story that I told with Ben Davies. I think I told that story. So forgive me if you guys are regular listeners or watchers. You may have heard this story before, but just bear with me. You'll see why I'm going to do it. So I would go out to California, and I would live there, and I was trying to get into acting, and it was hard. I couldn't get any roles, and I would go up and I would audition, and I'd get Jack, and I'd go home. It's like, man, I don't know, and I'd try. I never even got one call back, just a second time to look at it again. And normally to get into a film or something, there could be, especially if it's a big budget film, a huge film, you could have 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12 callbacks. They're trying to whittle it down to who do they want. So it's difficult, and it's tense, right? And I couldn't get one dang callback. And you start thinking, maybe I'm no good. Maybe I'm no good at it. Maybe I can't. Maybe I'm kidding myself. And that would be like me because of my humbleness. But I thought to myself, I don't know what to do. And I went to my wife, and I said, here's the deal. If I'm going to have a shot at getting into movies, because I'm in Hollywood, right? I cannot go up every now and again, read for something, and think I'm going to get picked, because I'm going up against all these hundreds of other actors who are going up every day and reading over and over again, who are in class, getting their craft down. So they are at this highest level. It's like me doing comedy for years and years and years, and you decide to do an open mic, and you're going to blow me out of the water. You're not. And you might even be funnier than me, but you haven't paid your dues. You haven't learned how to do it yet. And so I thought, how am I going to compete with these actors who are doing the hard work if I'm not giving myself the best chance? So I said to my wife this. My wife, by the way, is your mom.
What?
So I didn't want to bring it to you live, but I felt like maybe it would get us some ratings, get some more people to watch if I threw a blockbuster.
This explains so much.
I know, and now you know what allowed you to exist. I've spoken of you emanating from my loins often on this podcast, and I only do it because I know you enjoy that understanding that you come from my DNA, and it makes you proud, and I understand that, and I'm humble enough to let you revel in that.
Very humble.
Yeah,
Very humble.
Yes, but your mom, she doesn't make a big deal about it. Anyway, she participated, and you were born. And so I went to your mom, my wife, It happens to be the same. And I said to her, here's the deal. I am going to give myself 1 year to see if this acting thing is going to pan out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into an acting class. I went to Aaron Spicer in Beverly Hills, California, twice a week. I was in Orange County, so I had to drive an hour through traffic and all kinds of crazy, twice a week, to learn scene study. I had to break down a script, how to learn how to break down your character. There's a lot to acting if you do it well, because it's hard, and you have to learn these techniques. And then I did improv, and it was twice a week. I would do all the things, and I would practice, and I would work it out, and I'd do scenes and everything. And I said, and I'm going to go out, I'm going to take every audition I can get. I'm giving myself 1 year. If after a year I don't get one call back, I'm just going to have to say, you know what, maybe this wasn't for me. I know how to do comedy. I'm making a living doing that. I'll be that. Okay, I'm a comedian. I tried, but I got to give myself a fair shake. And the only way I could do that was to get in and do the hard work and do the study like all the other people in Hollywood were doing. So off I went. And I started going up there, took my notes, still have them. This is 1992 maybe. When I did it, and I just fully engulfed myself in it, fully engaged in it. I remember Jennifer Lopez came in one time. There was some character actors that I've seen in movies that would come in and sit in, and so there I was trying to figure this out. So one day, I get some sides. Now, sides are just sort of a couple pages of a script that they want you to read to go in and audition for something. That's what they're called, sides. So I got sides for this pilot. And it was called MV40, if I remember. And it was basically like an MTV type show. This is in the early 90s, so MTV was still making music, putting on music videos. It was a groundbreaking show at that time. And it was like I was this old VJ. I was like one of the first guys. I'm kind of, I've gotten bitter. My job's on the line, so I'm kind of sarcastic. I do interviews with these rock stars and everything, but I just mess with them, and maybe Howard Stern-y kind of vibe. Anyways, when I read the sides, I thought to myself, the first time, by the way, this ever happened, I said, I know this guy. I know this character. I know exactly how to do this. I'm going to dress with these jeans, these tight jeans, and I had this sort of rock and roll belt that had silver stuff in it, and I don't remember what the shirt was, but and I had long hair back then, if I remember correctly, or maybe I didn't. I think I did. I don't remember now where my hair was. And I put on these cool cowboy boots that were like eel skin looking thing. I mean, it was the early 90s, but it was a cool look. And I thought to myself, for the first time, I am not auditioning for this. I am taking this job. I'm going to dare them to try to hire somebody else. This is mine. I came in with this cocky attitude. And then I came up with another idea. I'm not just going to walk in because they'll call your name, Brad Stine. You come in, you do your, you do what they call your slate, where they have the camera on you and you say, Brad Stine, right? And so they have, because they're filming all these so that the director or producers, whoever, can look at them at the end of the day and see who they want to call back and look at again. So I decided I'm not just going to walk in there and just do my regular slate, Brad Stine. I decided I'm going to take a routine of mine that I know is funny from my show, and this was the one I did about animal rights activists. I chose that bit. And I said to myself, I'm going to walk in, almost like kicking the door down, and I'm going to just start riffing, okay? So they call me. I go walking in the door, right? They're thinking I'm just going to sit there and do my slate. And I see the casting director. She's reading. I see the cameraman off in the corner filming us. And there was one other guy who I don't know who that was. He might have been the writer. He might have been a producer. I don't know who he was. And I walk in there and I say, hey, guys, I I don't know who your secretary is out there. I don't know who she thinks she is, but this woman just told me that I don't think you should hunt because hunting is immoral and it's wrong. And I said, let me tell you something. I went off on this whole riff that I had from Put a Helmet On about animal rights activists and this is nuts and this woman. Let me tell you, I know exactly what I'm doing. And I just went in with this, full-blown, cocky attitude. Well, as I'm doing it, right, to the people, we haven't started the audition. I'm just talking to them. I'm telling them who I just had an encounter with your secretary. I see the casting director who's going to read with me. I see her look over at the cameraman, and I see her go. And at that moment, I knew I nailed it because she was saying to the cameraman, I want to see this, film this. We found something. So I knew I'd nailed it. So I went off my riff. I finished it, boom, boom, boom. I sit down. I sit back in my chair. I put my feet up with my boots on the desk, like cross my arms, as though I'm saying, dare you to not hire me. I finish my riff. I'm like this. And she looks at me and she goes, well, guess we don't have to read, do we? What do you think I said? Wyatt?
I actually remember this story. You basically said something along the lines of, no, I told you that I can act. Now let's see if I can read.
Yes. Good. You do remember the story.
I do pay attention.
It's almost like you pay attention during the production of this thing.
Every once in a while.
That's shocking. So she said, I guess we don't have to read. And I thought to myself, oh, no. I said, oh, no, we're going to read. Because she saw a character. I brought her a character. She saw confidence. She saw funny. She saw this great vibe I brought to this thing. But I didn't want them to then go back, yeah, well, he can improvise. But how do I know he can read lines? Because we need to know that he can do a script because it's going to be written. So we did, and we read the lines. I finished. They finished, thank you very much, which is what they say every time. You could bomb, you could be great. Thank you very much. But I walked out there for the first time going, if I don't get this, I gave it my best shot. I went, full bore, boom, and I took him out. And I felt good. I felt good about that. That's not good enough. I don't know what else to give you. Drove all the way back to Orange County. Tell my wife, I don't know if I got it. Who knows? But it was good. I was solid. I was great. I went in and I just took control. Hour later, ding-ling-ling, hello. Yeah. Brad, this is the casting director. Are you around tomorrow? I'd like you to come read for the producers of this film. We've been a sitcom. And that was Brillstein and Gray. Bernie Brillstein, who was, I think, Roseanne's manager or something. So I was going, we were bypassing everything, going right to the producers of it. So the point of the matter was this. I had learned about having confidence. I had learned about doing the work to prepare myself so I could have a chance. I went in with this creativity and this complete commitment of courage and risk-taking. It paid off. Now, it was never made. The pilot was never made. It ended up getting in a lawsuit or something, and they never even made the pilot. So it didn't give me anything, but I got a call back, and that's all I wanted to know. Okay, I may not get the gig, but I can. They showed I can act, so I can feel confident I'm not kidding myself. So I get to do another read a couple days later for something else. So I look at this character. Now I figure I got this down now. I figured this out. So I'm going to create a new character. So I went in and I did this other crazy character. Same thing though, just committed. I'm in. I'm going to bring you something. It may not work. You may not like it, but I'm going to give you something that is larger than life. Get a call. We showed it to the director. You didn't get the part. They gave it to David Keith, who was the guy that played the friend in Officer and a Gentleman of Richard Gere. He's the guy that ended up hanging himself, if you ever saw Officer and a Gentleman, which, by the way, is one of my top 10 favorite films. But David Keith gets the gig, and he was known, he was hot at that time, so I get it. But here's what they said to my agent. But the director really liked you. He wants to give you a part. So they had this little tiny part of a policeman who was going to bring bring a bottle of whiskey and a hot dog to this guy, this private detective that had got arrested, charged with murder. He's behind the bars of the thing, and I'm bringing it to him. And I had one line, bon appetit. That's it. So they gave me this role. And even when we got there, they called my agent and said, whoa, we just noticed we got your client coming in. He's not SAG. We can't put him in there. Oh, no. He's a magician, and when he gives him his food, he does sleight of hand with the coins, so they needed somebody that could do the sleight of hand. Oh, okay. So they probably got dinged. They probably got penalized for bringing in a non-union guy, but I got to do the part, and that meant I had done a union film. I'm now union, or what they call must join, which meant I didn't have to join at that second, but if I ever wanted, I can now say I'm in union, but I have to join the union the next time I do a gig. But I could say I'm SAG, and that's how I got my SAG card. So I did this movie, and it was called Poodle Springs, and it was done 96 maybe, I don't remember. And it was an HBO film, and I did it. And that movie still plays now and again. You can see it on Amazon. I think you can buy it. But I found it on YouTube. And I wanted you guys to see the actual scene that I did, that I just told you the story. Again, it's another part. It wasn't the original part with that other thing, but it showed that confidence. So this is my scene that got me my SAG card, my first professional hired job as an actor to get paid. So this is and it's 10 seconds. So I want you just to see me. I had real short hair. You'll see what I do. And then there'll be a couple second glimpse of who I acted with in my very first movie. Show them, Wyatt.
Wherever you go, and admit that the waters around you have grown, and accept it that soon you'll be drenched to the bone, for the times they are a-changing. Come writers and critics.
You're on. That's it.
So did they see the guy I just handed the food to? Because it was breaking up from my end.
I believe they did.
James Caan.
Yeah, James Caan.
My first movie I ever booked. I gave a hot dog with my finger and mustard in his hot dog and some liquor to James Caan, who was in The Godfather. And I did my scene with him. And here's the culmination. There's two more things I want to finish this with before we get to our guest. When we were blocking the scene, you'd think, what's the big deal? Wasn't much to it. Well, the director he wanted me to kind of curve a little bit to this way and come around because they wanted the camera to see the cage of the guys in front of it and then swing around. So he had this very specific blocking he wanted me to do. The name of the director was Bob Raffleson. Bob Raffleson's son invented a TV show in the 60s called The Monkees. And you guys some of you might be old enough to know who the Monkees were. He created that. He also directed numerous films with Jack Nicholson. One was called Five Easy Pieces, a very famous film. And he directed Jack Nicholson in Five Easy Pieces. Now he's directing me. That guy saw my audition and said, he doesn't get the gig, but I like him. He's in. So Bob Raffleson, who directed Nicholson, looked at my work and said, that guy can act. And so that made me feel confident. And, I'm 20-something films in at this point, mainly faith-based films. So, and I don't care. I like the stories they tell. But that was an amazing story. But I remember when we were blocking it, James Caan, he would say, yeah, speed it up a little bit, speed it up. So after we had blocked everything down, when they were setting the lights up and getting everything ready to shoot the shot, he comes up to me, James, and he puts his arm around me. He goes, yeah, I'm thinking, well, what's your name? Because remember, I'm like Cop 3. That's, I'm nobody. Cop 3, you know, you don't have a name. But I learned in acting class you give yourself a name, so I called myself, you know, James or whatever it was. No, that's his name. I probably called myself Carl, let's just say. I don't remember now. And he goes, what's your name? He said, so Bob, what do you call it? I said, I'm Carl. He goes, no, it's Bob. So he just gave me a name, and he said, I think you should speed it up. And I said, well, here's what I was thinking. I was thinking that, you know, you're this private eye. You get all the women. You're the big stud. You get all this. I'm just a beat cop. You're suddenly in jail. I'm bringing you food. I'm like in your face, buddy. Who's in control now? So I don't really dig you at all. So I'm just going to hand you this, and here's your drink and whatever. And he said, oh, okay. So he was like being cool, trying to give me notes, which you're not supposed to do, by the way. Actors not supposed to give another actor notes. But I stood up for myself because I was a professional actor. He's James Caan. He could have said, fire this idiot, and they could have got a grip to do what I did. You could just see there was nothing to it. But I said, I'm an actor. Yeah, just starting. Not as good as you. Will never be as famous as you. But he respected me. He said, okay, yeah, good. So that's another story that made me feel good. I stood up for my acting, and he saw me as a peer. And so that is where I'll never forget that amazing opportunity. And they still pay it, and you get royalties. Especially when it first came, you get paid, and now it was a day rate, so it wasn't a lot. But then the first time it airs, you get paid the same amount. That's part of the union. It's amazing. SAG is a great union if you're into unions. And then over the years, it diminishes and diminishes the amount they pay, but they still owe you royalties. Well, I bring the story up because I got a check today for royalty for Poodle Springs for that movie, and I think it's crucial. So you guys who think, well, you know, why should we help you build this podcast? Why should we do? Yes, you're doing God's work. Yes, you're fighting for freedom in America. Yes, is that. But obviously, you're loaded. Obviously, you do these movies and you make who knows how many thousands and thousands of dollars. You're a comedian. You make hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars every year. Obviously, I'm just loaded. You can tell.
How much was it? Actually, no. Can I show it to the camera?
Yes.
Okay.
This is a check.
The actual check.
For my, from Media Services from Burbank, California.
This is what all that acting lessons got you.
This is it. And those acting lessons were not cheap. But this is my royalty check from that scene that was shot over 20-something years ago. Why?
All right, audience, place your bets. How much is it? I'm going to show you it real
so
quick.
that's why why I can afford wooden desks and things. Yes, and if you could, let them see my royalty check, if you would.
Look at that, audience. Read it and weep.
Yeah, so for those of you who didn't know why you should get into, yeah, it's a little blurry. See if you can pull it back a little bit. I don't know. Let's say back. Okay, yeah, it's too blurry. Let me see.
It's too blurry.
Yeah, it's not working, but I'll try it right there. And if you can't see it, folks, let me, well, read it and weep is all I can say. I got paid 22 cents for that roll that you just saw. So, yeah, yes, I am rolling in dough. Yes, when I'm asking you, can you help me? It's because I'm just selfish. I've got money coming. Just mailbox money. I never know when they're going to show that movie and I'm going to get another 22 cents, but it's always coming because I'm a professional actor and I just thought you guys wanted to know the full story. And you can go find it on YouTube, Poodle Springs. You can watch the whole movie. But that was me doing me at that time. So I just thought you guys might find that to be an interesting little story. I found it interesting, but even more interesting is that you can be whatever you want to be if you're willing to work hard enough in America. And I don't know if that's going to last anymore, but I'm going to go down swinging that it does. So if you believe in what I'm doing, I want you to tell you what I'm really doing. I'm hoping by next week to launch the Militia of the Mind. Now, the Militia of the Mind is Americans of all stripes who want to help me not only build this podcast, but be able to do live events that churches or groups that are conservative groups that don't have money, I can do it for free because it's being paid for through subscribers to the Militia of the Mind. We're going to outthink them, outpray them, outfight them, and hang on to the civilians, or what I like to call the peasants' revolt, the Militia of the Mind, to subscribe. It's $3 a month. I wanted to make it cheap because I'm not trying to make a ton of money. What I want is the numbers. I want 10,000 people. I call them the mighty 10,000, the first 10,000 that sign up. That will allow my son to work full-time doing this. We're going to then put out more video content, so maybe the podcast will do it more than once a week. I don't know. But this is what I'm trying to build, to basically be kind of a hybrid of PragerU kind of content with sort of funny God's comic material. I'm trying to go out into the ethers and fight and tell people what's going on and encourage and inspire. Also, subscribers, we're going to be able to have interviews with some of the guests where you can come on a Zoom thing and you'll be on a big panel and maybe even ask questions. This will be part of your subscription. You'll get a T-shirt. By the way, I'm trying to get the logo for Militia of the Mind, so that's taking some time. And the first 10,000 will get their T-shirt, and it will have their number on it, number 1. The mighty 10,000, it'll say M10, that mighty 10,000, number 1, number 5, number 60, number 4007, till we get 10,000 who said, we're not bowing the knee to Baal. We want to come together and feel like there is a militia of the mind. We're going to outthink these people. We're going to outfight them. We're going to stand for truth and see if the peasant revolt can, in fact, restore America's freedoms. So that's what I'm doing. If you would like to be part of that, you can do it right now. Just go to bradstine.com and you just sign up to be the mighty 10,000. It'll be $36 for the whole year. It's $3. Again, it wasn't about trying to make a ton of money. It's trying to get a bunch of people feeling like we can do something, we can fight. I'm going to get other ministries and groups that are going to be behind the paywall that you can look to if you need help, if you get fired because you're a Christian. We're going to have access to a link to a pro bono lawyer that will fight for religious liberties. We're going to have access to Rick Green and Patriot Academy and other people that I will add on to this group and this wall of like-minded conservative Christians fighting for freedom in America. That's what I'm trying to create. I don't think anything quite like this exists. There's wonderful people out there doing great things and conservative things, but they kind of have their own deal, and I'm trying to make this the peasants' revolt. I'm trying to make the Americans have an ownership, just like I did with Stine Has Issues. You guys, I told you from the get-go, you'll build this or I ain't doing it, because either we're all in this together and we're all going to pay a price and sacrifice, or what's the point? We can't go alone. So, and you guys have been sterling in that. And some of you already signed up. Some of you are already part of the mighty 10,000. So if you're not, your shirt will come. Now, there will be different levels of sign up. So the $3 a month, you can get your shirt. You'll probably have to pay for your shirt because we have to print them per one, and I don't know what it's going to. No, it'll be expensive, $25 or something, 30, to ship it to you. Unless you do a higher, you can do a higher subscription, and then you'll get a free T-shirt. That will also come with some other things. I'm going to talk about more of it next week, I think, when I really launch this, so you guys can see what is happening, and we'll just see if it grows. Let's see if we can do it. So that's something I wanted to let you guys in on. You can go to bradstine.com right now and sign up if you want to get on the first 100. So you'll have the cool double digits or single digits even. Group of the mighty 10,000. So that's where we're at. That's what's happening. But Jim Brewer is here. Now, if you don't know Jim Brewer, he was on Saturday Night Live back in the day. I don't know how long ago it's been now, 20 years maybe or more. But he was on with Will Ferrell and guys like that. And, well, matter of fact, I think I have a clip of what he does. He's out doing comedy now, but I came across Jim because I didn't know a lot about his stand-up. Come to find out, his stand-up, he's gone really full-blown conservative. Him and like Rob Schneider, they're going conservative. They're jumping in. They're jumping into my game that I've been doing for all these years. And I'm grateful. I want more and more conservatives who are funny and great and sophisticated doing comedy and standing for these ideas and these free speeches. So I'm grateful for that. And so I contacted Jim. He was friends with John Rich, who's a friend of this podcast and has been on, and we connected, and I said, here's what I'm doing, and we got talking. I said, I need you on my podcast because I love what you're up to. And So I'm going to show you a quick clip of Jim and his latest comedy routine. This was filmed in San Diego. White. See if you can show that. Now, this is 2 minutes. It's possible that this thing is going to go haywire because Facebook is going to sense copyright infringement. I'm not sure because it's off YouTube, and it's happened before. If that happens, we'll log back on. We'll keep going. Hopefully it won't, and you'll get to see it. That last clip was only 10 seconds, so they didn't give him a chance to even flag it. But here's a quick clip from Jim Brewer and his latest stand-up routine.
His daughter went to college. It's so amazing to watch a child grow up in front of your eyes, and you try to do everything you can for your children, and you try to just, you and your wife are there for the dances, and when she sang in the choir and joined a singing group, and she played basketball, and she graduation, and always happy, always funny, always, you know, confident kid. She's like, I'm going to college, Dad. I'm going to go to Florida. I got a university, and life is going to be great. I'm going to take marine biology and children's psychology. And I dropped her off, and I saw her whole life go in front of me, and I sobbed like a baby. Oh, my God, it's the beginning of the just... My wife's like, oh, please, I can't wait to get the other ones out of the house. Please. We can start to live again. Trust me, it's gonna be good. You still got your Batman outfit? Yeah. You got Wonder Woman? All right. And I couldn't wait to hear from my kid. And she came back 6 weeks later from college. Couldn't wait. She came through the door. I'll never forget it. She walked right through, and she was going, sexist, racist, racist, sexist, sexist, racist, racist, sexist, sexist, racist, gender, 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 gender. Can't say that. Can't say. You can't say that. You can't. LGBTQ2, LGBTQ2, LGBTQ. Sexist, racist, rights. Gay rights, people rights, human rights, sexist, racist. Can't say that. You can't say that. No, it's not. That's not what it means. Yes, you can. It's racist, sexist, gender. All I said was good morning.
Got it? So that's Jim, and again, he's jumping right in the wokey, taking him down thing. So you're going to love this, but I wanted to be with, and I think he's the first comic I've had, I'm a comedian, first comic that I brought on to interview because I didn't want to just bring on comics. They kind of bore me, frankly. I want people that are interesting and have depth and are trying to do hard things and culturally changing things, just to be funny. I'm not saying I wouldn't have on a funny guy just because he's good, but I want somebody that's doing something. Now, I do need to give you fair warning. I believe in free speech. I believe in absolute free speech. I believe that free speech is only free if you have people say things you hate. You don't have to listen to them. You don't have to like it. You don't have to keep them on your page if you don't want them. But I don't censor people. I'm not going to keep them from speaking because I want to be able to speak. So there's a few times in the interview where, he says a few words, some curse words, because that's, his nomenclature. I don't curse, but he did a little, not a lot, but there was a couple. I'm just letting you know, I know my audience. I don't think you guys will care. He is he, I am me, I'm being my guy, he's being his guy. I just want to let you know, so you know in case it happened. But I don't care. I'd rather have somebody interested on that's real and true and fighting for freedom, who has some salty language, than to try to censor people and tell them what they can and can't say. I want reality and truth. It's so important, folks, that we learn about context over content, that we stand for reality, that we don't censor each other, that we seek freedom. And it's going to come with some cost, Christian. You don't have to participate. You don't have to teach it. I don't do it. I don't curse on my show, never have. But I'm not afraid of guys that do. I'm here to talk about God and Christ and truth and reality. And wherever you're at on that journey, you come alongside, and I will let you be you, you let me be me, and that's what this is all about. So, folks, you're going to enjoy this. He's a very well respected comedian, was on SNL and numerous other things, so he's got a great career, and he deserves your support if you want clean comedy. I don't know that he does that, but if you want conservative comedy, he really is doing it wonderfully, very similar to some of the things that I'm doing. So I'm glad he's with us, and I'm glad he's on our side, because we need as many as we can get. There's not a lot out there. Our talent pool is restricted. So you're going to enjoy this. My first interview with a comedian, and talking about life, America, free speech, and comedy, because that's what it is. I think something funny even happens in the middle of it. It's taped live. So enjoy yourself. Grab yourself a cold one, sit back, relax, and watch God's Comic Brad Stine and Jim Brewer. Hey, so once again, it is God's Comic Brad Stine. It is Brad Stine Has Issues, where comedy, conservatism, and Christianity collide in a cacophony of clarity. And as you guys know, and if you're so blessed to have me as your host, and I'm sure that I changed your life, and I single-handedly have talked some of you off the cliff, off the ledge. Some of you call and say, listen, I was going to end it all, but then I stumbled upon your broadcast, and the rest started there because of court order. But nevertheless, whatever brings you here, I like to bring on the best of the best. And I have been fortunate. I've got Princeton College professors and doctorates and musicians and Hall of Famers from the NBA, and many, many different, unique, eclectic people. But the one thing that is crucial to me is there's a lot going on this earth, and we need to discuss it from every angle. I don't care if you agree with me or not. Frankly, people that don't agree make a more interesting conversation. But when I find a like-minded brother, that's fun too, because it allows me to find somebody that resonates with our point of view, especially when you're conservative. Oftentimes it's lambasted in the media and all around. So it's fun for us to be able to lambaste back, because it's my podcast. I can do what I want. So I try to bring in the best, the funniest, the smartest, the most intense, the most inspiring, the ones that know as much as possible, so that you can get the best out of this broadcast that is possible. But when that fails, I get a comic. And this particular time, I got me a very good one. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I think I've got 2 years worth of this issues under my belt. And I think this is the first comedian I've actually had on the broadcast. Not because I'm anti-comedian, that's what I am, but honestly, I'm bored with myself. I'd rather talk to people in other genres. But this guy caught my eye. I knew of his work. He was on Saturday Night Live years back, and was when it was watchable. And I just saw a lot of what he was doing. What really caught my eye was he was doing conservative, if you were going to pigeonhole it, and he's more than that, but he certainly took an angle of conservatism in his comedy that I just didn't see. It's something I've been doing a long time. So when I see somebody like that, my ears perk up. It's like, what? Where did this come from? And to be honest, probably prejudged, not assuming this guy would be coming from that point of view. So it just shows you never know whose life's experience has brought them where, and we'll find out about that. But I am privileged to bring on Brad Stine Has Issues this episode with Jim Brewer. So say hi to him, because he's right here. Hey, brother!
How you doing, Brad?
Man, I am doing so good, I don't know what to do with it. Jim Brewer, so that's German?
Yeah, you know what? And I didn't realize it's technically Breuer, and I didn't know that too. I went to Germany the first time. I was doing, I don't know, festival or something, and when when you check into the hotel, you give him the passport, and he goes, James Breuer. Nah, it's Brewer.
Yeah.
Nine, that's Breuer. You are B-I-E-U.
Right.
That is Oi, and you are Breuer, and you come from the north.
Yes. You should have told him. The proper way to mispronounce it is Brewer.
Yeah, and I said Brewer, but I'll tell you what, they say it with such confidence and dignity. By the end of the trip, I came home, I am James Breuer.
Well,
I am a Breuer.
Well, and you know what I like about that, Jim, is that Brewer, of course, is something they're known for in Germany, a brewmaster, brewers of beer. My last name is Stine, which means stone in German, which, of course, is the beer mug. So we got a brewer who makes the beer. We had a receiver of the brew. So apparently you and I come from a long line of alcoholics. So that's something we might as well get into that right off the bat. Couple Germans that can't drink enough. But
Yes.
here we sit, doing our best to bring our American version of our heritage to the. I feel sorry for Germans, honestly, because no matter what they accomplish, and they've accomplished a lot, they always have Hitler. So there's,
I know.
it doesn't matter what they do. It's like, yeah, but you had Hitler. Never mind. Never mind the rocket. Never mind the best cars in the world. We had Hitler. We're screwed.
They're probably one of the leading, a lot of people look at China for technology and all that. Germans are always way ahead of pretty much most of the world with their technology. I mean, shoot, we brought them here to create NASA. So they brought the Germans over for all the technology we have. So a lot of people claim, but yeah, the Germans are pretty far advanced. However, that little thorn is quite a burning in the side. Which, you know what? I won't even say nothing.
No. I listen. That little, and he tried to cover his tracks by wearing a mustache like Charlie Chaplin. He thought perhaps that would give him some grace. He thought maybe this will get me through the heat. They won't notice because they'll expect me to do some silly dance. And then he started killing people. So it put a damper on the mustache. I might add.
Yes. But I did start going into like the whole, because all my family was in World War II. Mm-hmm. My dad, all his brothers were in World War II, and by miracle they all came home. And I'm like, what I want to know is the real history of, because that's another thing. They always just go to the obvious. But did he just wake up one day and go, you know what? These people need to be taken out. Like there had to be what started what gave the reason? Was it because their nose looked different? Was it because they were, maybe they owned a lot of businesses and they were part of the starving of the German people, which I'm not saying that's what happened.
Right.
Was it history to me keeps changing and twisting and turning, and whenever they just scream it and put it on my lap, I just like to go, well, where, common sense wise, he went into England. Didn't we try to destroy England? He went into all the imperialists that were in his country and made him poor. Like, where'd this guy? So yes, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. He still is there. It'll still always exist. And people like, well, whatever.
Well, there did seem to be, the guy was, I don't know that he was all mentally and emotionally fit, but he was a good tyrant. He sure had that down.
He was a good tyrant.
But, give him credit. Give him credit where credit's good. He's in the top three. The Rushmore of tyrants, he's up there.
He's the Rushmore of tyrants. Without a doubt.
But, yeah, I think he had a lot of mythology, a lot of nationalism. I think there was that sense of blood purity. I mean, listen, ideology matters. Philosophy matters. What you believe has consequences, brother, one way or the other. Whatever you believe has is seeds you're planting that's going to create a crop one way or the other. And so it matters how you see the world, because it's going to cost a lot of folks. It's one thing I noticed. You're talking about, why is this guy killing all the Jews? Which, by the way, wasn't unique. For some reason, these poor Jews who they're minding their own business, and they are the most historically documented persecuted people group on earth. I mean, I don't think there's any deeper record than the Old Testament of these guys from day one. Let's screw with the Jews. I don't know what happened, but have you ever been to Israel?
No, I have not been to Israel.
Dude. What these guys have accomplished, I don't know your thoughts of if you believe in God. I'm deep God believer.
I'm a huge God guy.
Oh, good. Well, anyways, if you want to believe the Bible, that the Jews, the chosen people, look at their history. These people, under the most ridiculous, everywhere they went, they got kicked out, they got shot, tortured, whatever. They go with a knapsack to the next country, and within a generation, they own the banks. They own the companies. They're amazing. It's an amazing people. I don't know how they pull off the stuff they do.
I'll tell you what. I remember I had to do a a private show a couple years ago, and the private show was at one of Trump's place in Miami. Had nothing to do with Trump, had nothing to do with what I feel about Trump. This is before, and it was a private show for realtors at Trump Dorago, something like, it's in Miami. That's all I know. And like, do you play golf? Or no, I don't play golf. And so, oh, you know, it's a good golf course. What I said, oh my gosh, so I'm thinking, all right, real estate. I know a lot of my sister's a real estate agent. I know a couple friends that are real estate. This easy gig. Stupid money. Couldn't walk away from this one. I get down to Trump, Dorago, whatever it is. It's not Mar-a-Lago. It's this other place right by Miami Airport. And I'm checking in, and I turn, and there's a lot of Hasidic Jews there, like a lot. I'm like, huh, that's weird. There must be a convention at Trump's place for Hasidic Jews. Interesting. Well, I check in. It's during the day. I then go to the pool area. The pool area is filled with Hasidic Jews. And they're on their phones, and they're making deals. And there's also guys with AKs and ARs. I'm like, what is going on? So I sit down and order like a chicken sandwich or whatever. And a guy comes up, he's like, hey, I'm Saul. I say, hey, Saul. He goes, we're very excited to have you tonight. I went, who? He goes, just to give you a heads up, no one's going to listen to you. No one's going to pay attention. We tried having George Bush, but we went trying to go comedy, but they're and I quote, he goes, they're very rude, and they don't take it personally. I went, what? Wait, who am I performing? He goes, this is who you're performing in front of. I went, really? He goes, these are all real estate people that own real estate. I went, really? And I go, what's up with the guys at the ARs? He goes, well, there's like $150 billion here at this pool. He goes, everyone here owns all the buildings in Manhattan. Wow. Most of the buildings in Jersey and Connecticut. That's what this whole Hasidic Jewish and I was, he goes, that guy owns the Chrysler building, that guy is, and I went, oh my God, I don't think anyone has a clue that Hasidic Jewish people are the ones that own that all.
Right.
I thought that was fascinating for two reasons. One, I don't think anyone knows the amount of real estate they truly own and how much money truly was sitting at that pool area. So I could see how people get a little, people are annoyed. If I remember the first time I got a Schwinn Scrambler, and I lived in not a low income area, but just under middle class, and people were like, oh, my Schwinn Scrambler with yellow mags. Oh, Mr. 1977's.
Hey, I lost your audio, buddy.
Oh shit. Oh, it's my dad. I'm gonna hang up on. Oh my God, this is bad.
Okay.
I'm in his car. He needs to turn his Bluetooth off. I'm gonna go tell him.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, sorry. I'll be right back.
No sweat. Hey, Jim. Your Bluetooth. I just talked to your daughter in your car. I just talked to your daughter in your car. You got to turn your Bluetooth off.
Thank you.
So we had a conversation. I know where your daughter's going, and I wouldn't let her go. I don't let her. I don't know who she's meeting, but I do, and you're not going to want. You better lock her up immediately.
Was I up in the? Did we miss that whole conversation?
We missed the whole thing after the Schwinn because I started hearing another voice, and it was your daughter who ended up in your car on your Bluetooth. So, anyways, no sweat. It'll make for a funny it'll make for a funny bit on when it airs. So it'll be a great little.
Oh, you're dead. Turn off your Bluetooth.
Exactly.
I'm
You
in a
idiots.
I'm in a closet.
Anyway, so but yeah, I mean, as far as class distinctions and so forth, I mean, for sure. And, you know, I, I mean, I guess I was, I don't even know how you gauge middle class, lower middle class. I'm not sure what those rules are. I'm a little older than you, but, you know, the 70s was kind of my teens, early 70s though. So, I mean, I remember the Schwinn's with the banana seats and the freaking motor, you know, the chopper handlebars, and we made ramps on the curb, and we would jump them, and there were no helmets, and we would wreck, and we would flip over the thing, and then you got up and you said, that was, I survived. Okay, let's do that again. I mean, what has happened to that? I always felt like what made guys like us who we are is you had to earn your childhood. You had to survive it so that you could go on and become a warrior and navigate life. And we have turned this generation, especially the Gen Z generation, into this fragile construct where they feel pain is bad instead of a motivator. To not have to endure things you disagree with makes you safer as opposed to a slave to your emotions. It's systemic narcissism because they literally worship themselves and their feelings and opinions. And they believe that and the greatest things that they don't see about themselves is they're the arbiters of reality. If I feel it's bad, it's bad. I don't have to argue. I don't have to debate. We don't have to find a meeting in the minds or agree to disagree agreeably, which used to be what is called civilized. Right. I shout you down. I don't listen. I don't want anything to do with you. And I'm protected in the universities by the staff and the academics and the tenured professors to tell me just that. Now, what they don't know is these tenured professors, these Marxist propagandists who are creating little activists, are creating minions. They think they're being enlightened, and they are being literally turned into little amoebas to do the reckoning of the oligarchies and the rich and the elite who could give a crap. They are just a functioning piece of material that they'll use and abuse and get rid of the moment they have. So, I mean, one of the things I wanted to discuss around these ideas with you, Jim, because I know you and I have some similar views on it, is where comedy fits and all that. Because I think one of the beautiful things about comedy, if it's done right, and this isn't to say that one style or genre is better. If you laughed at me and I laugh at you and I laugh at Seinfeld and I laugh at Chris Rock, what's the difference? Laughter is laughter. I thought it was funny.
Sure.
It's funny. I'm not better than you.
Sure.
If everybody's laughing, we're all funny in our own way. Doesn't mean everybody's going to dig our style. Well, then don't come to my show. Go to the next guy. But funny is funny. I laughed or I didn't. And so I always felt like the greatest tragedy to that age group is they're being trained to not know how to laugh and have the freedom to even realize that the scary things, the taboo things that we are stepping all over, when you can laugh at that, there's something freeing about that, because we're the last truth tellers left to say, when I can mock the unmockable, we're all even. We're just trying to figure it out, and you're not better than me, and you do not get some kind of special privilege to not have to endure what humanity has, and that is, you ain't better than us. I can mock anything I want, and that's when we start finding a level playing field. I mean, is that Pollyanna, man, or do you think comedy has a place in culture that is crucial to help see itself objectively?
It's beyond crucial, and you have to stand your ground. I can't stand when people apologize. It really bothers me when they apologize. You've given up. You've thrown your flag up, and you submitted to the bully, and you submitted to the Marxists. You submitted to the censorship. You submitted to an individual that hasn't grown spiritually and in the walk of a godly manner. You're submitting to evil ways of self-righteousness. So with that, of course, you need comedy. And the thing is, like our trick, and a trick for me was, listen, I'm not political. I don't label myself. However, I'm also not a fool. I know what I watched go down for not just the last couple years, for half my life, when I started figuring out what the news was, what our government was, what entertainment was, what all of it was. When I pulled the curtain back and I met everyone I had to meet, and I hung out with everyone I had to hung, and I went, oh my God, the world doesn't know about this. So, but mostly the last couple of years, when I seen the attack on the president and Trump and blah blah, the ding, and the riots and the this and the what, I started doing stand up in tents and anywhere they would allow it, right? And a lot of times I'd be outdoors, 100 people, and they walk to the tent with their mask on, and then sit down. Then you can take off the mask in a tent. I feel a lot of times, me and maybe, I don't know about you, Brett, but in the past I was just looking for funny, and a lot of times it would come from frustration. This time, it came from vicious foam at the mouth. You better wake up, and you're not going to call me the fool, because I know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You can criticize, you can throw every arrow you want at me, but if the truth hurts, that's on you. That's on man. You. If you can't handle the truth, that's on you. However, the tough part for me was, I made a special called Somebody Had to Say It. The tough part for me was that their game is to make you angry. The revolutionists, our government, the media, their game is they train you how to be angry. They train you how to debate and be pissed and be vile and judgmental and hatred. So to counter that, you have to come with the, hey, I mean no harm, but am I crazy? But I used to have to pay $6 to the carnival to go and the freak show, and I wait in line to see the bearded lady. And now I can go in Starbucks and see all the ones I want. I mean, does anyone feel bad for the carnival people?
Oh,
like
exactly.
They're putting them out of bed. Where's the carnival rights? Where that it's hard to put away the anger and then find the funny with a smile. But when you do, it comes in a peaceful it's like I always say, I come in peace. My intention, I really do. I come in peace. And you may not like a lot of things, but I'm here. I promise you, I'm here to help. And for those of you who don't wake up, that's okay. I still love you, but I'm going to paint a picture for you, and you can decide.
Yeah.
With the cartoon I'm animating here.
Yes.
But that's essential. Even if you're going to, like candidates, when they run for presidency, when there's a little bit of funny, all of a sudden I see a character. I'm like, I like this. I like this person. I can see what's going on here. It's very key. The gestures have been around since the beginning of time, and the gestures are the one that get closest to the king, to the tyrants, to everybody, because they're just not. Are they entertainment, or are they coming with the truth and a arrow through the? Are they sending a missile to the Death Star? Comedy is going to be a key part of changing the world in a revolutionary way for the better.
And always has, which we were talking about Jews earlier. I mean, man, if anybody has dominated comedy throughout history, it's been Jews. They've learned to almost survive by finding the funny in the worst case scenario. And that means to me that comedy, and I don't get to talk about this often because you really need another comic, because we're a rare breed. I mean, if the single most fear that humans have is speaking in front of an audience, you think to yourself, Well, what are you fearful of? To speak. You speak all day long. What are you scared of? Well, that they're going to reject me, that they're not going to think I'm competent, that they're going to laugh at me, they're going to think less of me. Well, comedian literally then puts himself in the absolute worst case scenario for the emotional, because we're the only performance art that I know of that you have to rehearse in front of the audience.
That's right.
I don't get to be a garage band and play it back and go, hey, we nailed that. Doesn't mean they'll like me, but I hit every note. The song made sense. It all came together. Sounds the way I want it to sound. I'm good. You do a play. It's written for you. You block it out. You play it. They may not like the play, but you don't have to sweat whether you hit your mark. Comedy literally has to say, here you go. And then they tell me, did I nail that or not? And what? And what we have, there's lots of funny people on this earth, maybe funnier than all of us, who just don't have the balls to stand up in front of a crowd and face the wrath, figuring out this game. Because as much as I've never understood. I think we are weird, Jim, because people don't even know how to talk to us. I mean, I'm sure you've had interviews.
No, I know what you're.
Isn't it just awkward? It's like you be in an interview. It's always the same. So were you always funny as a kid? And I'm like, I don't know. Did you always laugh as a kid? Did you ask a lot of questions as a kid? I don't even know what that means. I don't know, because one thing about being a comedian, you don't know you're a comedian. This is just how I think. This is how I talk. I don't know. Right. When I say it, it's funny to me. And you laugh, but I'm not trying to perform.
Yeah.
Are you trying to be funny or the worst?
What should we expect at the show? I don't know, like something funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they don't even people over the top try to do jokes. Right out of the front, or they'll try to be funny.
Yeah,
they'll try. They do feel awkward around you. We are a different slice of bread, but it's the greatest. To me, it's the best piece of bread. I would have chose this piece of bread in the whole bag.
Yeah, but we obviously are in an odd category, because where else do people feel? Is it an obligation to be funny around us? Or do they feel like they want our approval? Because I don't meet a heart surgeon and say, let me tell you about the lower left ventricle. I did some study. I wouldn't do that. I don't meet a banker and say, let me explain. Here's how I balance a checkbook. I don't do that, because I'm interested in their career. I would be interested in a heart surgeon, but I wouldn't presume that I have some equality with his knowledge system by which we could discuss it. It would be me asking questions, perhaps. I'm not going to try to show him my low-level PhD in cardiovascular. I don't know that game. Why do they feel like I don't know. Do you think
it's an approval?
That's what I'm wondering. If they feel like
it's an approval.
Did the comic laugh, then I'm funny.
Right. I've had so many people just in a normal conversation that will crack up. My daughter just had a graduation party, right? And so my neighbor comes over, a couple people comes over, and I'm just hanging out. If you're funny, you're funny. If you're not funny, we're in a serious conversation. This guy comes over and we start going off. He goes off on a bit, just like not purposely, but he's like, it's gonna be funny to see whatever he starts going into, and now I engage. And me and him start going back and forth. I'm laughing so hard. And he goes, that's pretty amazing if I can make you laugh. If I can make you laugh, like maybe I should try doing it. Whoa. This is just hanging out. Don't you ever just hang out with your friends and you laugh really hard and you banter? Everyone does that all the time. It doesn't mean now all of a sudden you're going to be touring next year.
Right.
Just, take it easy, but they're so like, oh my God, if you laughed, well then.
Well, I know, and like I said, but
I
don't know if there's an equivalent in the arts or even in any where people feel as though they need to get the approval on your level. So there must be what I'm getting at, Jim, is there must be something to humor. There must be something to the idea of laughter or providing that people aspire to. There must be some sense of value that they get from, which is fine. That's how we make our livelihood. Thank God. And I believe in God, and I believe God laughs, and I believe everything that we have is from God's image. He said he made us in his image. So obviously God has a sense of humor. He allowed us to have that odd, quirky thing to add to, instead of us just talking about how do you get to the store and how does one overcome the law of lift and learn how to fly. Instead of just having all this analytical left brain stuff, he said, why don't we throw in these curveballs now and again to keep things interesting for people? And there comes humor.
You know what? What humor does, it's healing. And the way it's healing is because it humbles you. So when you're humble, if we're native and we're going out hunting and you were a debacle, you missed the thing 3 times, you fell over a log, blah, blah. When we come back and we're doing whatever we do, peace pipe, run around the thing, I can assure you the guy kind of feels awkward, but the rest of the tribe starts making fun of what they just want, and then like, oh, that was fun, you fell down, and you acknowledge the awkwardness. Humor acknowledges awkwardness. It acknowledges pain. It acknowledges embarrassment. It acknowledges so much that's a key to healing. If you can't laugh, it's a major key to all types of healing. Better than many doctors can give you sometimes. So that's what I think it comes from. It's definitely part of everyone when you're born. You see babies laughing. Why does a baby laugh? What are they laughing at? What do they think is so funny? It's built in us. That laughter brings so much joy. It lights up a room. It's very healing, extremely healing.
Well, and I think that when you think of the baby, for example, if you think about what they laugh at, one of the first things is the peekaboo, where is daddy? Here I am. And they laugh. So it kind of shows that laughter does have sort of a formula. That's like the incongruity. I expect something and then something else happens. That's what comedy is. I thought you were going to go this direction, and then you turn the hose on me. That's where the funny is, right? And that's where the funny comes, because who's great at that? I'm trying to think of a comic that comes to mind. But when the setup is coming and you're trying to anticipate, and then they nail you with something, the greatest compliment you can give a comic is, why didn't I think of that?
Oh God.
How did you see that? It was sitting there all along and you saw it and I didn't. What happened? That was mine. That's the comment.
That's like Jim Gaffigan talking about bacon for 15 minutes. I'm like, I did bacon for 15? I get 5. I get 5.
Yes.
Now he's in the 15-minute mark, and I'm still entertained and laughing at this.
Yes.
Oh my God!
And it's so inspiring. People said, does anybody ever say, like, do they reference you, like, oh, he's like a comic? Who do they say you remind them of?
Years ago, it'd be like Jim Carrey, and I'm like, which. Nice compliment, but I ain't Jim Carrey.
Because of your facial reaction, did you always have that style where you did a lot of physical?
I was always very animated, very animated, act things out. That was always back in the day. That was the comparison, and I didn't like that comparison. To be dead honest with you, so I kind of shifted and moved and blah blah blah. But that's. Now I don't really get comparisons. Which I think is a good thing now.
Yeah. Well, you've morphed it into your DNA. So, I mean, here's the problem. A lot of people don't understand. My biggest one I hear over. I can't escape it, is George Carlin. Now, if somebody's going to compare me to somebody, if I can't have established my my style, and they see me on my own because I'm not trying to emulate anybody. Obviously, you try to find your own voice. But how can you not be influenced by people who went before you and had some styles and some insights and some stuff that appealed to you? Now, do they do that to other people? Does somebody look at you too? I don't even know who the latest, and say, "Oh, you're like the Beatles." Like that's look. There's people that did stuff. I can't escape that. There's a style that isn't just theirs. If I was doing their jokes, yeah, that's a problem. I'm stealing their jokes. But if I happen to want to talk about commentary or break down words and find the funny in those, that's not his. That's it. It's whoever can find the funny. If you could do it, you do it. But this is what interests me. But it always kind of bothers me because I feel like they think I'm trying to take him.
Trying to be something.
Nobody can steal his delivery and whatever. But yeah, I do stuff that is, I think, maybe a little bit deeper in some of those breaking down of words and cultural ideas and so forth. And I can't escape that he did it brilliantly for so many years. So if you're going to have to compare me a bit, and Robin Williams I hear a lot, and I'm like, I'm not Robin Williams in the least, other than I'm energetic. So I don't even know how they come up with half the stuff, but that's the one I've heard the most of. But, I learned from other comics over the years. For a long time, I wouldn't watch a comic because I was afraid I was going to start emulating them or taking that. And I didn't want to get stuck there. But I remember picking up a book. What was her name? Pat, somebody. She used to book rooms in Seattle. I don't know if you remember her. She did one-nighters. I don't know if you ever worked for her. But anyways, but she had a book, a sign language, I think it was for Seinfeld. And I didn't read it. So I picked it up. I was reading through it. And it just was him printed out some of his routines. And he had one about ventriloquist dummies and how he said, and then you would always have their leg would just be like an inch off. You'd see that little sock around it. And what it hit to me was, man, this guy's greatness is how much he can milk out of a premise. I realized, dude, Brad, you stopped too soon. If they're with you, add more. They're already on board, man. Find more details. And I'm sure you've done this. I've found routines that never went anywhere or ideas that just somehow sat there. But I said, but if I stuck it over here in this mix.
I'm doing that now.
It gives it power. So if you find that to be similar, technique.
I'm doing it right now. Yeah. Right now. So I'm working on a whole new hour, right? So I did 2 nights at a comedy club in Tampa, and I start tonight through the next couple nights in Naples. And what I did was I noticed I tried wedging 2 or 3 bits, and all my bits come from real stories, real life. If I don't live it, it's hard for me to sell it. I don't sit there and think of, I'm not isn't it funny how I can't do that comedy. I'm a story. I'm Richard Pryor. I'm the street. Did you see the ambulance go by? I see it, I say it, then I act it out. And before I even say that, Richard Jenny taught me about taking a premise and just squeezing every part of the I'm like, oh my God, this guy just goes on and on.
Yes.
One premise. And that's a lot of me. A lot of me is one premise and it goes 20 minutes, 25 minutes. So I'm working on something now, which is a true story. It's the first time I ever went hunting. And it's it sounds like a simple premise, but it's emotional. It messes with my faith. It says all these things, and I bring all these factors into the storytelling. And there was 1 or 2 bits that I kept trying to develop, and I just can't find. And now, I have the main source, and now I'm able to go, oh, remember that thing I could do? Now it's just kind of a little electric bolt that goes back here but still stays in the story, and this thing comes over here, and it just keeps. I call it, once you find your ending, once I find my ending, then I can start adding I'm going to put M&Ms in here, and I'm going to put some icing on this cake, and I'm going to put an extra layer of pudding, and then I'm going to put so that I do all the time, and I love, and I tell comics all the time, don't throw it away. No. You might come up with something 5 years from now and all of a sudden go, you know, it would be great just in this little walk down the alley section, this little throwaway. And this is a very funny throwaway. So, yeah, sometimes, I love doing that. So all my bits are 20 minutes long. So if I was asked to do TV, I'd be dead. I don't have anything 5 minutes, 7 minutes. I just don't. I just don't.
Well,
I'm a storyteller.
I mean, and that's a great, style too. Obviously, it doesn't matter how you do it. I mean, look at Ricky Gervais, who I think is crazy brilliant dude. But I mean, the TV shows this guy's created and the styles, you just gotta tip your hat and say, I give up. You, uncle,
hands down,
you win,
hands down.
But
hands down.
But even his stand-up. And give him credit. He figured out he wasn't a stand-up, I don't think. He was a singer at one point. But he figured out a way to take his sort of instinct for situational comedy and finding a way to get it into a monological style. Because he'll tell stories and he'll even play the two sides as though he's in a dialogue. So I think Hitler really wasn't a bad guy. What was that? I mean, he'll do that kind of thing as though he's playing both guys. And you're watching the scene. Instead of a guy giving you comedy, you're watching a scene, almost like a little one-act play. So that's a great idea, and I think that's one of the things that I appreciate about comedy that people don't understand is how hard it is, and how much a pleasure it is to finally come up with a new routine that cracks. You play with it, and if you're a comic. The hardest thing in the beginning is when you're doing your routine and you're not getting laughs. When you're first starting and you're just eating it and it sucks. It's so hard and it's just so miserable. And you have to evaluate. Are they not laughing because I'm not funny? Or is it I just don't know how to do this yet? Which one is it? And the ones who have the courage and the conviction, you know what? I know how to do this. I'm going to keep doing it because I know I just know how to do it. Those are the ones that make it, because the funny guy is irrelevant. If you can't put it up on the stage in front of the guy, you're not a comic. That's the hard part. That's the hard part. If I joke with my friends, you've got years of interaction with me. You've got a personal connection. You trust me. You understand me. We've got a chemistry. So when I start joking, you're with me. The hard part for a comic, you get up on stage, immediately face 300 strangers and say, make it feel like that right now. Go. That's the hard part. Making that all the tube. I see the audience as the orchestra, and I'm the conductor. There's the tuba, there's the violins, flute, but they've never played together. So I've got to make the concert work by finding every one of the nuances of these people with their own issues and their own attitudes and their own problems, and making them feel like an orchestra. Because truly, the success is that they laughed and they gave the energy back, and they felt like we're in the middle of something that I can't even imagine. And that's the fun of it, is finding a joke and a routine that you can now depend on as the new stuff. Because I am so sick of the old material. God almighty, how many times do I have to do this thing? And it's like going to Paul McCartney and saying, you're not doing Yesterday again, are you? Well, no, I want to hear it. So I think we sometimes don't give ourselves enough credit. If people are fans, they actually kind of do want to hear some of the old stuff because they've listened to it and they want to hear the classic. But for me to survive and not hang myself, I got to keep coming up with new stuff, or I can't take it.
Me too. I don't think I ever do two shows in a row that are identical. The premise might still be there, but I just can't. I got to entertain myself, and I can't do. I give so much credit to like a guy like Carlin and like your Brian Regans or whatever, and Jim Gaffigan's, Seinfeld. They go word for word for word for word. If you see him the next night, it's the exact same pause, the exact same line, the exact same. And that baffles me.
Yeah,
because I can't do it.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I've had people go, you want to do one-man show, but you got to do script. And I actually went, I don't think I can do it.
Yeah.
I'm just being honest. I don't have the discipline. I feel free to be able to go, if I'm in a subject and something happens over here, I can make this another 8 to 10 minutes of just having fun and then come back to here. A lot of people can't do that. And I can't sit there. if I can't entertain myself, I'm doomed. I'm doomed. And I think that's part of what makes people come back to see me.
But it isn't everybody's skill set, Jim, because I mean, if you look at Seinfeld, that guy is just precise. I mean, he writes it down, and it is a script, and it is every beat and measure, every word, every pause, every moment, perfectly done. And clearly it paid off. The guy clearly figured it out. But he's very anal. He has a very specific means by which he's comfortable delivering comedy material. And I've never seen Jerry Seinfeld do crowd rap.
No.
I've never seen Jerry Seinfeld improvise, other than maybe comedians having cars where he's talking to guys, and you kind of see that he certainly has the skill, but not on stage. He is a meticulous, it's got to look exactly like this. But I will say this. When I started doing the clubs years ago, I was always writing material because I got this feeling, I was afraid that they were going to get tired of me because I'm doing the same stuff. I didn't realize there's guys that have been doing comedy 30 years in the clubs and do the same routine. I didn't know that.
Same act, never changed.
Yeah, and so, okay, I couldn't anyways. But I felt like I got to show them I'm always fresh. And I finally came to a place where it was kind of hit and miss how my routines were being received. And I finally realized, I said, Brad, you have got to find a routine that you can count on. You've got to have an opening that works every time. You've got to have a closing that works every time. And then you have to fill it in with solid material that is consistent, and find who you are and begin that thing. And that was the only time when I really feel like I was starting to figure out how to do me. That and finding a theme. Once I decided I wanted to talk about something and make a theme out, that changed my comedy forever, because I felt like I had a motivation now for what I was trying to do. And even the most innocuous joke I had a joke from road signs. Oh, deer crossing signs. I mean, just basic middle America jokes that worked. And I turned it into, what is it with, you guys live in a different world. I come from LA, man, but you come here, you got animals jumping out on the road, and you act like that's normal. Yeah, it's normal if you're in a cartoon, and just simple. So I took a way to take just a same joke that would have worked, but I gave it a soul, like this is attaching to something. And it was then that everything changed. But when I began to do the same routine every time, then my first album came out, which was called Put a Helmet On, which is the one that kind of launched me. But it's because I made it work every stinking time. Now, I'm not saying that maybe there was a little nuance here and there.
Sure.
But I had to lock down on a routine for me to be able to film a 1-hour special and trust it. And that is hard. And people also don't know how long it takes to write an hour's worth of comedy. Oh, man.
Yeah, it's not a 10-minute ordeal. It's to write a good comedy, 1 hour. There's good an hour, and then there's a good hour.
Right.
A real hour. So yeah, no, it takes, I hit my stride probably about 8-10 years ago, where I'm able to go, okay, here's the theme of this, boom, from here to end.
Yeah.
And
but that's what I'm saying. You do kind of have the architecture in place. You just might play a little bit with the nuance of it as you go on, but you have your routines that you have to stick to, or you're never going to get them down where you can trust them.
Right.
So how much do you deviate from a routine as you're playing with it?
Oh, I'll deviate from it far and wide. If the opportunity arises, I'll go as far and wide as that, because the way I look at it is, unless it's the 1-hour comedy special, I may not ever have the opportunity to explore like this. I take my shows as I am an explorer. Here's what I plan on doing, and I'm pretty confident in all this. However, if your energy is bringing up the opportunity for us to go exploring, well, then that just adds to the pie. And I noticed my instincts usually are pretty dead on to know, yeah, I'm going to go down this way, or I'm not going to go down this way.
Yeah.
I don't have enough right off the top of my head to go into this exploration, but okay, we will. Let's do it. And then boom. And always stay humble. So, and again, a theme. So the last two were somebody had to say it. And then I think it was a couple months later, that came out July 4th. And then Thanksgiving released another hour called Silly in San Diego. Now, the issue with that was, I put out 2 crushing hours, because what COVID did do for me was couldn't film a special. So I had 2 hours of almost two different themes going on here. One is somebody has to talk about this, and you hit everything, the gender and the Nazi lockdowns and all this jazz and the jab and blah blah. And then over here is like, I got a gun, and before we talk about gun control and silly and some more personal life, boom, look at that. I struggled the last couple months because I feel like I got out everything I had to say. So now I'm like, I don't want to just be funny, and I don't want to harp on, hey, we're being unjustified. Like, all right, we get it now. So what's the new thing? Now I found the new theme is we need to get united. And here's how we're going to do it. Here's just some options. So that has really put a spark in me, because I do think we're going to need that in the next. It's already getting intense. It's going to get, in my opinion, what we saw happen in 2020 is going to be peanuts compared to what's going to happen from this summer through the following year.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, you want to talk about mayhem, and I don't like spreading fear. It's just common sense.
Yeah.
It's going to get ugly. However, I think enough people are awake to know their tactics. Maybe. I mean, climate change.
Okay. Yeah, right. We talked about this before. Yeah, climate change. And I said, we had climate change.
Yeah, I saw a video of Spock. Remember Spock from. So this is what the newer generations don't understand. When we were in you were a teenager, I was a little boy in the 70s. The late 70s, early 80s, Spock was the spokesman for climate change. And I quote, and you can look it up on YouTube, the ice age is coming back due to climate change. And if we don't save the environment,
right,
we're looking at another ice age. And then it was an ozone layer. We're all going to burn to death.
Right.
And here's another one. Here comes acid rain because of the climate change and the pollution. Then it was global warming, and the seas are rising and the ice is melting. And now comes climate change and these wildfires. And here it comes. It's comical, but it really bothers me that people fall for this consistently. And I go, have you been to Plymouth Rock? Guess where it is? The same exact spot. You know how far the water is from the Plymouth Rock? So when the settlers first came, same spot.
Same spot.
And you know what it's like in the winter? It's cold. You know what it's like in the summer? It's hot.
Yeah, right.
Fuck my ass when it comes to climate change, you dumbass.
Well, that's what I said. I have a thing I talk about climate change, but I always pick out a kid to mock, a teenage kid or something to mock during it, just to say you're stupid. So hang on, let me teach you what life's really about. And but that's one of the things I said. We had climate change on our skin. You know what they called it? The weather. That's what it was, because it's hot in the summer and it's cold in the winter. But there's an agenda, and this is what COVID. I mean, we might as well jump into a little of the heavy. Let's get into some of the heavy so that we can get that out of the way, but at least show that we're not complete morons that just know how to tell a joke. COVID taught me, and I have a COVID routine, and I know you have one too. It's excellent, but it exposed so much. I was shocked. And some of it was heartbreaking for me. It was heartbreaking me to see, because I would say this on stage. I said, it wasn't that people stole my constitutional rights. What bothered me was people who willingly handed theirs away. That's where, because that frightens me, Jim, because they're supposed to be on my side when the tyrants come. You're supposed to grab a musket too when the British attack. You're supposed to get the dagger at the front as well, when they begin to decide that you're going to live a certain life the way we demand, even if we're not here to represent. I know you guys created the colonies, and you guys created the infrastructure, and you created the functioning of the government, and all these things, and you've kind of run it on your own by yourself without much of our help. But now we want to make sure you understand you're going to pay us taxes. You go, no, we decided we're not doing that. We're going to be American. We're going to make our own thing. And they said, oh, really? And this ragtag group of folks, dude, created the greatest nation in human history. What happened? And so COVID exposed to me how much we've lost that DNA. The idea of liberty being sacrosanct. The idea that freedom is more important than life.
Right.
You want to?
Right.
You don't want to? Would you want to live as a slave or die as a warrior? And it's easy to say the right words, but when it's real, because there were a couple guys like you and I sitting at a pub in 1775, going, "Are you really going to shoot these guys? Because what the heck? I didn't
Right.
sign to be in an army. I'm a farmer. What are
Right.
we doing?" You said, because you want to keep your farm, right? You want to keep being free,
Right.
right? You want your kids to have this right. This is what it costs.
Right.
Show me any nation, any ideology, any philosophy, anything beautiful that has ever given freedom to humans that didn't come at the cost of war. It doesn't happen. This is how it works, because somebody
Exactly.
wants to control you. So what was the thing about COVID, other than the obvious, the lockdowns, the keeping guys like us out of work? If people had to sit next to each other, we're out of work. I mean, that was absurd. But what was it about COVID that most enraged you about the culture we were watching and the people and the way it was handled?
It's what you said, the way people just rolled over without even questioning, I could not believe that people didn't believe in their common sense.
Yeah.
And they were willing to listen to blatant, I can see them lying
Yeah.
through their teeth, and the catchphrases of trust the science. I trust God. I trust instinct. I trust intuition.
History.
All the
What worked and what
history.
didn't. We have a record of what works and what doesn't. That's what conservatism means. Conserve the good stuff.
That, to me, I realized it made me reflect on, what is war like? What is it like to be in the battlefield and you see your buddy who you've known your whole life, or a family member you've known your whole life, that is a strong individual, and you thought they just turned, they already got the white flag up. You're like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I got a bad heart. So where you going? Well, hey man, he likes to fight. Whoa.
Yeah.
And that, to me, however, what that made me realize, yes, it pissed me off, it infuriated me, it saddened me. But there is a comedian, Joey Diaz, that said something so simple, something so street, and something so real. You always need the warriors, no matter what. And the warriors will be inspirations for the weak that want to fight, but they're afraid to fight and they really don't want to put the battle. And part of my language, I'm just imitating Joey Diaz. And Joey Diaz said, you don't need a lot of friends to change things. I don't know the exact quote. He goes, you just need 3 motherfuckers. 3 motherfuckers. And that made me realize, I mean, I already knew that, but when he puts it that way, when you get one badass, one man that holds truth, can conquer thousands of weak that will be willing to believe the lie.
Yeah.
And what I learned was, the minute I came out and said, you know what? I made a Facebook video, and that's how it all, it was a Facebook live video. And I went, I'm getting fans saying now these places, these theaters I'm in are implementing the card and you need to show your vaccine. Well, you know what? I'm not doing that, and I'm canceling, and I called out tyranny and said, I got God, and you ain't going to do that, and force them. The storm that came with it was so fierce. CNBC, CNN, news article, this washed up SNL wannabe, doesn't care. His wife's got cancer and he doesn't trust the medical field. He should be ashamed. However, I knew the truth. And when you have the truth, there's nothing, all the weakness around you, it made me stronger. Because when they do foam at the mouth come at you, that means they are scared to death of you. Because they don't need leaders. The leaders scare them. So that pissed me off, but it also empowered me. It empowered me never to fear bringing up God. It empowered me to never fear who my true being is and what I believe and what I stand for. And there's nothing you could do or say to try to cut my legs out. You can call me phobic. You can call me misinformed, someone misinformed. You can say whatever you want. I know what I stand for and what I live for. Well, and I know what you don't. I know you live by fear. I cannot believe the power of fear. And what I keep telling everyone, it is time for the power of the fearless to rise and stand tall. You know, I don't want to see bad things happen. I don't know if you just saw recently, you brought up in the beginning of the podcast, the generation that they don't know who they are. It's very tragic. They don't know who they are. They're transgender. They don't blah, blah, blah. They've been, in my opinion, they were targeted. They were marketed, and they got them good. It's a war, and they got them. So to me, they're victims of psychological warfare. However, they don't understand that they are pawns to a very cynical movement that a couple demons are laughing, collecting a lot of money because they got these people on drugs for a long time. Now, with that said, I don't know if you saw what just happened in California, where they are going to meet up with the Armenians. All right, they're Armenians. When you start clashing, you know, people forget Cubans, the Armenians, Chinese, the countries that ran here to get away from the tyrants during COVID. All my life, I had people, 3 different people, Armenian, Albanian, they were from Albania, and Chinese. And they all said the same thing. You have no clue what's going on in your country right now. This is how they start the role in communism. And this is how they're going to take away your homes. They're going to start chaos. They start with pushing sexuality and confusing sexuality. And I heard them loud and clear. But when you see the movement, I'm sure you'll only get to see it on social media. The news media is not going to touch this. Those Armenians started throwing fists at the what are they called? The bananas up in Seattle.
Antifa.
The Antifa who was pushing whatever with the pride and the these people don't understand. The people that came from that country to come here, they watched their brother get blown away by government that was pushing the same agenda that you're trying to push on humanity now. And you can push on them, but the minute you push on their kids, they're willing to beat your ass to death. And they're gonna knock your ass out. They know what fighting is.
They know the cost. They know what they're fighting for. We forgot to know what to fight for as Americans. That's why I make it very clear. I've said this numerous times on my
Correct.
podcast. I said, listen, you're going to have to differentiate between citizens of the United States and Americans because it's not the same anymore. One thing that made America unique was every ethnicity from every part of the world, which were older countries, came to this nation, brought the best of what they had. God bless them. It's what made the tapestry of this nation powerful. We got to learn from everybody else, but they came to bring these as gifts, as offerings to this new thing that we're all going to do together. And the moment you became a citizen, you were an American. That doesn't happen in Germany. You become a German citizen, they don't say, oh, you're German. You don't come to France, I'm a citizen.
Right.
French. You don't go to Spain.
Correct.
You come here, one generation in, I just got my citizenship. You're an American. And they love,
That's
and
right.
they weep because
Right.
this is what humans were destined by God to be, free and autonomous. And they know the cost and what will be lost if it's gone. It's why I say, if a country's great or not, do people want in or do they want out? And nobody's digging holes, sneaking into North Korea. Ain't happening. They want here. They want here.
No.
And they're destroying this nation by these open borders, no sovereignty. Yes, of course, we were built by immigrants. They're fine. We are not multicultural. We're the best culture. That's why they come here. We are e pluribus unum. Out of many people, one. Many cultures, one. Bring the best. Become us. Learn our language. Keep our borders safe. You want to come into my house? Knock. That's how it works. You don't just walk in and say, I'm taking over the master bedroom and you're subsidizing it. No, you don't work like that. They ain't treating the stranger with kindness. That's a thief. You don't get to come in and steal from me. That's against the 10 Commandments, for God's sake. That's an old law. So, no, you don't get that. And the greatest proof of the sort of the demonic institution of the left, it's all the 10 Commandments. Covetousness. It's not wrong to desire to be rich. It's not wrong to desire to be successful. It's wrong to want your success, your stuff. That's yours. You earn that. I don't get to take that. No. That's the idea, the pride, the selfishness, the lack of discipline, the expectation that you owe culture nothing, that you can run freely to do whatever you desire, and that desire becomes a right. That has to die, and it will only die if the peasants rise up, because DC's abandoned us. It's going to have to be us, and we have the numbers. We're seeing a glimmer with Anheuser-Busch and Target. And I say it on my podcast, folks, this can't be a little glitch. We have to bury a company. We have to bankrupt Anheuser-Busch. Oh, but people will lose their jobs. Yep, tough.
So what?
This is what it costs.
Too bad.
You do this crap, it costs you everything. You want to play this game, you pick the wrong side. And if we would do that, and it's what made me so angry with the COVID, from day one, when they said put the mask on, I said, if the next day everybody said, no thank you with the mask, opening my doors, come on in, I'm staying wide open, screw you people. You know what would have happened? Nothing. We would have lived our life, and that would have been that. It would have been just
And that's what I did.
Yes.
I had a whole group of us. We lived our lives in groups of 15, 20, and more throughout the entire COVID. You know how many people got COVID? 2 of us. You know how many people died? None.
No, you got over it in 2 days. Everybody did. Yes, some people died like they die of everything else. Well, listen, what do you think about, this is not off track, but I think we should talk about it because you're mentioning next year and obviously the presidential election and how hot and difficult that's going to be. What do they fear from Trump? What is the crazy response to this man that now they're finding lawsuits? They terrify.
It's very simple.
He's in.
I'll give you one name. Donnie Brasco. Do you know who Donnie Brasco was? For those who don't know, Donnie Brasco was a mole in the mafia for a long time. Donald Trump was a mole in these evil mafia. He knows all their plans. He knows all their dirty tricks. He knows all their disgusting habits. He knows how bad they have stolen from us, enslaved us, made us fight, gone to wars for no reason. He says it. He puts it out there here and there. Should have never went to Iraq. He knows why we shouldn't have gone to Iraq. And as people wake up, they know as they wake up. And he's a threat to the globalist. He's a major threat to the corporate, which is their government, the corporation, the WHO, the World Health Organization, the World Economic Forum, all the CEOs of all the major companies. They're the rule makers. They're the ones creating war with our military. They're the ones that run the show.
Yeah.
He made it very blatant. You know, people forget, and I don't know if he's the good guy. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's sometimes when I think so, and then I go, is he the genius? You know, is this the old trick of I come here and make things great, and then I disappear, and you see how bad you need me now?
Yeah.
That's how, that's another brilliant trick.
Right.
And then we want you come back right away.
Yeah.
I pray to God that's not it.
Yeah.
But that's a tactic that's been used time and time again. But what I would like to see is our entire system crash. And what I mean by that is no more Republican debt. Why is it two parties? Why do we have to join a party when 90% of each party is corrupt?
Yeah.
If not more.
Yeah.
So, and the whole theory of when we say, well, I'm voting for the lesser evil, how long have we been conditioned to accept that and just take it? We should no longer say that. The greatest leaders walk amongst the people. And if they can't walk down the street with the people, they have no right to represent any of us. And if we're going to go into the new world, why does one guy have to represent the entire country? And what I mean by that is the South is very different from the North. The cities are different from the suburbs. Change has to come. And this system, in my belief, has failed us horrendously. It has allowed, it has controlled us for too long. It steals too much money. We believe it too much. They've lied. And once you lie once, you should never be allowed to lie again. They lied to us about COVID. They lied about wars. When that's two areas that you murder humanity and that you cause complete genocides.
Yeah.
Vietnam was a genocide. You knew what you were doing. Iraq war is a genocide. There's no way of trying to hide that word. And it wasn't about weapons. It was about money and causing chaos and creating new world order. And you used my family. You used my neighbor's kid who's got no legs anymore. And you just keep walking along. And you want me to fight about gender and this and that and that. I'd like to see some real leaders come from both sides.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? To me, the dream would be like I know RFK Jr. is coming out and he's saying a lot of things. I was going to say something before. JFK, everyone remembers his speech where he said, ask not what you, that's what they promoted. But what really was intense when he said, we have secret societies that have evil intentions right here within our country that are trying to run things. Well, guess what? They're still here and they're more powerful than ever. And they are called Republican. They are called Democrats. They are called conservatives. They are called liberals. And that's why I get very careful of how we label. Unless you're representing God and people, I'm not sure I'm trusting any politician anymore the rest of my life. So to answer your question, I think Trump has good intentions, great speaker. I pray to God he is going to bring good to humanity, but I'd like to see we get rid of the labels and we just put people out there because they're good human beings for what they do.
Well, and
rather
that's
than what they
difficult.
represent.
Yeah, and that's a wonderful.
And I don't know
saying.
how that looks.
Well, and that's the problem
But
is.
I can tell you this: I don't believe in the system anymore.
Oh,
I don't believe in a system. I never did. For a long time, I never did.
well, I did. I believed in it for a while. I thought that, George W. Bush was, this great guy. And I trusted folks. I mean, listen, here's the thing. The thief has the most locks on his door, right? He knows the worst of folks. If you're a good person, you assume people are good. You don't think everybody's trying to con you because you don't con people.
Yes.
You presume that they're honorable.
Yes.
You presume that if you're trying to be civil, they'll be civil back. We have learned that the left doesn't play like that at all.
No, they're dark.
They
dark.
They don't care
They're
if
dark.
you go to jail. They don't care if you die.
No.
They don't care if they take
They're
you out
dark.
of your work. They don't care if they control you. They want power and more power. And that's why I call it systemic narcissism. The one clue you can get from them is whatever they call you is an absolute clear indication of what they actually are. So every time you're called a bigot, it's because they're bigoted. Every time they call you hateful, it's because they're hateful. Every time they call you judgmental. You talk about their Armenian issue. This is a tactic. They will provoke you by going after that thing which is most dear, your religious beliefs, your children, your freedom, your autonomy, your morality, your expectation that teachers just teach education, things like that. They will go after these elements of a civil good society and crap on them and push and prod and poke and stab and belittle and insult and criticize everything that matters to you until you break and you punch back and they say, see what these guys are like?
Correct.
See what they're like?
Right.
They just punch you. They don't see the 15 minutes of the provocation.
No.
They see the 2 minutes of Sandman sitting there looking at a guy that came up to his face and they say, that kid's got the most punchable face I've ever seen. That was one of the things the critics said. Kid didn't do anything. Didn't do anything.
Theory. Here's the theory on January 6th, why they wanted to make that so sacrificial and so monumental is because that's minute. January 6th, and I'll say it, it's a joke if you think that was an insurrection.
Oh, yeah.
I will laugh in your face if you say that was an insurrection. Oh, people, are you sick? You can yell and mimic everything you've seen by your favorite party and favorite news channel. But at the end of the day, whether most of it was real or people were whatever you want to say, whether they're implants or whatever, it happened because this government isn't trusted anymore. And that's not the people's fault. That's the government's fault.
Yeah.
And I keep saying January 6th ain't nothing. When you look in other countries, when they know something went down, they drag those people to the streets. They burn those buildings down, and they make sure it ain't going to happen again. And they party in the streets. I pray to God we never see that. But I have a feeling that the people that push January 6th, they sense all of us going, I'm on to you.
Yeah, I hope.
And I've had it up to here.
Yeah.
Right here.
Well, and the
Don't
problem
make
is
me
they're trying to do
don't
that.
make me turn into an Armenian
Yeah.
in the street because they just opened up a can of worms.
Well, and I'm with you 100%. The problem is, our challenge is we're peasants. In other words, they control the dissemination of information. They have all the networks. They control most of social media. They control.
Stop watching.
The FBI is weaponized. The CIA is weaponized. The schools are weaponized. So they control all of these elements of peacefully allowing civilization to be cohesive. They control it. So when we draw a line in the sand and say, that's it, you're not pushing an inch more. It's my turn to seek my freedom. You're not stealing mine for the sake of your agenda. But because they own so much of the infrastructure of how we fine people, jail people, get justice, it's difficult for us to even defend ourselves, which is what the second was created for, was for this generation.
Yeah.
If you are, the Democratic Party controls basically the state, how it works, how it functions. That's totalitarian. That's what it means. That's what fascism actually is. They control, the government controls everything. That's what the Second Amendment was created for. Scares the crap out of you. Oh, you mean you want to go shoot and fight and people? I don't want to. No.
No. Nobody wants
Obviously,
to.
I don't want to do that.
Nobody wants to do that.
Nobody in the Civil War wanted to go across the lines and shoot their cousin. Nobody wanted to do that.
No.
But the irony is every stinking citizen, not American, because they're not, every citizen in this country who argues how bad guns are and we have to take guns from citizens and guns have to be stopped and we have to have guns removed, every person that believes and fights for that has the right to do that freely because of a gun.
Correct.
Because a gun created this free society by which you have the right to hate a gun. The very fact that you live in a country that gives you the right to burn your flag is the exact reason why you shouldn't. Respect and be grateful for something you haven't earned. Get on your knees and thank God you get this country and quit giving it away like a coward. Enough is enough. That's why I created the militia of the mind. Let's outthink them. Let's outpray them. Let's outfight them. We still have the numbers, Jim. I do believe we still
the numbers are overwhelming.
And we still have the guns. Not that obviously I want to go that direction, but what I'm saying is we aren't unarmed. So we're not like every totalitarian regime started by disarming the citizens. They haven't got that from us, so they know it ain't going to be just a giveaway, but we don't know how to mobilize. You know, it isn't easy when you can't communicate. I don't get to say, hey, Jim, I'm starting a militia here in Nashville, so come out to bring your AR. Coming down on Saturday, we're going to start working out who the general is and who's going to be the medic, and we're going to see which territory. How long is that going to last on Facebook? When I'm trying to make a call to arm. Come on, guys, let's go practice. So they have a lot. They've gotten the long march, Gramsci's long march through institutions. They've got a big head start on us. But I say go down swinging. Go down like a man. Go down firing every weapon you got until there's nothing left. I'm a God-fearing man. I'm a Christ follower. I believe Jesus is actually God. Do you have any religious or faith element that drives you, that gives you a sense of your ultimate foundation for who Jim Brewer is?
Yes, it's the ultimate God. Yes, absolutely. God is my glory. God is all of me. I don't go to anyone else, I'll ask for a tear, but I go straight to God and I ask him. And if it's through the ways of Jesus, who probably was one of the first warriors to ever come along and speak truth, I try to walk in that manner. And as long as I have that, and I'm not going to lie to you, I don't like give people false information. I couldn't tell you lots about the Bible. My wife is a Bible person. I not that I'm against it, whatever. I don't. I've had a great relationship with God since I was a child, and I knew about certain religions since I was a child. And whenever I was in serious trouble, I begged him mercy. And not only did he deliver, he even showed me how to move. And I'm always guided by God. Case closed. Even with my sets, I don't always deliver, but that's why I'm like, that's why I don't have fear. I don't have fear. As long as I'm coming with the intention of God and God's love and understanding and the trust and his grace and his power and his beauty and the laughter and all the love and all the blessings, I'm okay.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, no, that's wonderful, because listen, we need warriors, and you are one, man. Like I said, I don't sit and watch comics. I just don't. I mean, I like comedy and I do comedy, but I don't sit and watch comics for the most part. But when I saw your material and it was so blatantly right-leaning, and again, I'm not categorizing you. I don't know.
Sure.
If you would even call yourself a conservative, or if you try to label yourself, you're going to get labeled that way. The stuff you're saying.
I'm already labeled.
Yeah, there's no way out of it. What you talk about makes you
fine.
right wing to them
Yeah,
or conservative.
sure.
I don't know if you would even put yourself in that category or one way or the other. And I don't care. But what you're saying is wonderful, and it was inspiring to me because I too I've been doing conservative style and unapologetically Christian for many years, and kind of alone in that front.
I would imagine.
And so the trailblazers take all the arrows, and so you I guess you get maybe a certain mythological moniker placed upon you that you blaze some trails or you opened up a certain thing. That's cool. But it gets lonely, man. It's
very lonely.
Yeah. And so when I see a guy like you who's gifted comic making me laugh and saying, "Oh, that's great," or "That's a good piece," or "Oh, I wish I thought of that," the ultimate compliment. I wish I would have thought of that. And that's, I'm just grateful I'm not alone in that. Hopefully there is an uprising of the peasants. There is an uprising of the people saying no more. There is an uprising of us. If you were to leave and I get people from all over the world watch this show, believe it or not. So, but for the most part, it's Americans. And if you were to leave them with some encouragement, because it is so bleak right now. But Jim Brewer says, "Look, I'm just a comic. I'm just an American. But I love freedom. I love liberty." What would you leave them with to just help them feel like how to get through the next day?
At the end of the day, what has been stripped of all of us since our natural humanity are three elements, which is all you need to guide you: God, spirit, family. And that will define why you're here. And then you'll understand, I don't need this program, and I don't need to join Netflix, and I don't have to watch this channel, and I don't have to be in this gang, and I don't have to do this thing, and I work 9 to 5, and I need to go to college, and I do this thing. This system was designed to destroy humanity. We are all enslaved, all of us. The only ones that are not are the tribes in Africa, the tribes in the Amazon. Any tribal human are the only ones that are still enjoying life with nothing. And they have everything.
Yeah.
They have everything.
Yeah.
And when you split that all away, when you get, I run my job, as long as you still have your spirit, your soul, God, and family, whatever that's defined as family and friends, you're going to be just fine. Mm. Mm. That is the survival of humanity. And that is where we're connected. We could connect all we want on the right and conservative and this and that and this. Even there, you're going to eventually run into a wall. We need each other. We need to understand we're connected on such a deeper part of our existence. And all that has been pushed away. It's been, oh my God, look at over here. Oh, look, here's a football game. Hey, it was there. Oh my God, it's riots. 24/7, your mind is occupied from the moment you wake up and come into this world. And that's a well-designed plan to take you away from your deeper journey and what connects us in a deeper way. I had this coffee crew up in New Jersey, and we're 30 of us, and we really gelled during COVID. And the greatest thing I heard, it was so simple, big heavy guy. He's from Greece, and he's sucking on a bone like a leg of lamb. And I said, isn't this amazing? This guy's from Portugal. This guy doesn't make any money. This guy's a millionaire. Look at all the wives. We all hang out all the time. This guy's a fireman. I'm a comedian. How did we get? And he just goes, you know why? In a thick accent, he goes, because nobody thinks who they are. And I went, wow, that's interesting. No one thinks who they are. And when you think you are the category you are, you close your mind and your spirit and everything to everything else. You know, there was a guy there was all into vaccines. I wanted to knock his teeth down his throat because he called me anti-vaccine. You know how many times I wanted to just call him a dumbass and this and that, and this guy was like, I can't stand Trump. He's a Nazi. I'm like, oh my God, it's because you watch the news and you don't blah, 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 blah. And we would have it, and then we push it all aside. Oh, you need your plumbing done? Okay. Oh my God, your mom's sick. Hey, we need oil over here. And we were able to push all that aside and connect on the human element. This one is cancer. This one's son is Down syndrome and we need help over here. This one, hey, this one could really use some help. That is how we're going to start moving forward. I don't know how that's going to happen, but
well, and you know, I think that's exactly true, and it's probably what I meant by the citizen and the American, because the citizen is someone who gets to use and take advantage of this country and what it's given them. It gets to take the freedom and the safety and the money that you can make and the incredible benefits without having to sacrifice or love back the nation that it gave you. So you're a citizen. Right. You're a parasite. That's right. You take only, you leave nothing but a shell. An American is someone who doesn't, I don't mean you got to think the same way, you got to vote the same way, but you will love your nation. You will keep its borders safe so you know who's coming in, coming out, so that good people that want to add to the
just
milieu
like your house.
Are doing that. Yeah, right.
Just like your house.
You got to knock. You got to knock
Just
first.
knock. Don't come walking in here. Don't be bringing 40 friends and just walk in my house and
expect me to supply the beer. You know,
you're taking my car. You're not filling it up with gas. You're leaving holes in the plaster. You're not flushing the toilet. Like whoa.
Yeah,
Show
exactly.
a little respect and
that's it.
And what kind of blessing we got going on here. Yeah. Start with the home. If you can't take care of the home, well then maybe you need to go back to where you.
Well, and from. That's all I'm getting at is America. You know, they think when I say that I mean, oh, you mean like a white privilege?
Oh,
shut up! Shut up with your freaking nonsense that you can't.
Sure.
First off, you know your freedom to speak. That free speech that you have to use, that somebody's not shooting you in the head for saying it, was given to you by some straight, white, dead, heterosexual European men. Sorry, they're not so bad, maybe. They gave you the First Amendment. They gave you the country. They gave you televisions. They gave you rockets. They gave you cars. They gave you skateboards. They gave you skis. They gave you computers. They gave you technology. They gave you the middle class. Maybe they're not so bad after all, you ungrateful chump. Why don't you back off? And when you show me what your culture has given to humanity, we'll compare and see who wins. But enough already with your racist crap as though you got the high hand. You don't. You know what you call cultural appropriation we used to call? Sharing. Here's mine, here's yours. See what it looks like when we get together and be appreciative of each other. That's what's missing, and that's what has to return if America has a shot. Jim, thanks for coming on, man. Brother, you are a great American, a great comic. And folks, as you see,
thank you, Brad.
It was a little bit different. I got to bring a comic on, so I got to speak in my native tongue, not something that you guys necessarily are privy to, but you got to see the way comics think a little bit and how we put things together, that our little comedy isn't as easy as it looks, but we're willing to do it. As long as you're willing to get into a factory on an assembly line and make me tires, because I couldn't do that. I'd slit my wrists, but I need tires, so I'm grateful somebody's out there. And when you get finished with your shift, you come pay, see me, I'll bring you some laughter, and we'll work together. That's what it looks like. But, folks, it has to be this. You have to decide once and for all. I'm an American. I will speak truth at all times. I will never apologize for what I believe is true. I will not be bullied or pushed around or accept their agenda. Political correctness is evil and cancer. So PC free is liberty. And remember, when you watch Brad Stine Has Issues, I'm just a peasant, God-fearing man of God, American, freedom-loving, religious-loving man, doing the best he can with this little medium I have. And as I always say, as my new tour is, laugh while it's legal, folks. Let's hang on to the good stuff and see what God might do if we finally rise up and say, our bad, Father, forgive us. We're ready to come back, and let's see what he might do. But remember, I'm just a comic. All I'm doing is putting the woke back to sleep. See you next week.
Take care, Brad.